I've not used this before, so I'm just trying it out.
Hey man, it's been too long since we sat down and that just feels wrong. Allow me to give my head a shake, open my eyes and fix a mistake. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit a rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Hey buddy, no strangers here. These times I hold them dear. My door's open, so come on in. This was great, let's do it again. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly.
Live long and prosper. Hey, going, Gazz. Good morning to you. Hey, you don't often have to say good morning. You eating your cereal?
No.
Good evening from the clubhouse for a change. Hey, we're after back-to-back epic episodes. The A-Team was the last one. The time before that, can you remember? It was like a whole mix of things. We had Nate on guitar.
It was a variety show, but I think our topic.
It was like a variety show.
Sci-fi shows.
Sci-fi show, yeah, and Farscape was overwhelmingly loved. But you had the epic idea of switching up the times and doing it more for a bit of a breakfast show, so that our UK buddies can also tune in. And hang on, I am getting an incoming transmission. I wonder who it is.
Space Commander.
It's the man himself, Spacey. It has been way too long. Way too long. Good to see you, my friend.
Can I just say that if I was fighting a Robo Skull, I'd be petrified. This man is laughing and having a ball.
I'm laughing because
Space Commander.
hey, cool. He's got the old school hat. One of the G1s, one of the OG hats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm always laughing because I'm like the only guy on the interwebs with a theme song sung by Sergeant Slaughter.
Lucky. And let's round off the show by introducing our next buddy, our next pal. The worst running gag in Shoot the Shit is Adam's going to be here. He's going to be joining us, but never bloody does. But guess what? He's only gone and done it. Here he is, Adam from Go Figure. Oh, there's his channel in the background. I was just watching his latest video, G2. Optimus Prime.
2 weeks in a row, man. But he shows up as Space Commander.
It's just been a busy time, but I've missed you guys. I'm back, baby, ready to go.
Yeah, we missed you 2 weeks in a row. Anyway, no excuses. You're here now. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Gap After Dark is here. It's after dark for me, but I guess it's morning where you are. And it's giving everyone a hello all. Nate, the Retro Tinker, saying evening to everyone. He's probably put himself to bed. The Lilith is here. I'm sure they've got a few sci-fi topics to bring up for us today. Beta Ray Bob, hello, happy Saturday. I'm on the tail end of Saturday. Mrs. Space Commander gracing us with her presence. Sorry for the noise. Sorry for the noise. Phil! Evening, we'll be listening from a transistor radio before I float off to La La Land. Yeah, can't blame you. Yeah, put your feet up. The best stop motion person I know, Spoon Killer, who graced us with their presence and has been invited to tonight's show. They can't make it, unless they can, in which case, please join us. But they graced us with their presence yesterday after Adam dropped the ball the second time, and literally blew our minds with their A-Team customized, the Roncon van, free candy, with a secret hidden poster inside, which we were all a fan of.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, ooh la la.
Yeah.
Speaking of ooh la la,
Mm.
yes, there's a hint for you. Yes, I do want to come over. Good stuff. Well, you're always welcome. Thanks for joining us. Here's the thing. That best YouTube intro ever was created by not this, but the person below.
I all of a sudden am very uncomfortable with my placement.
All right, now, do you remember that time that we were on the live stream with the boys?
Yeah. We did.
Yeah, we made them puppets. They were not happy about that. Not in front of Space Commander. He doesn't go for that. Michael's here. How are you, Michael? Good to see you, buddy. I've got to remember it's late here. And Pericles, Dragon Ball Z. You guys streaming in the morning was not on my bingo card. I can only assume it's because of the particular Sunday. What's this particular Sunday? I'm not sure. We did it for this guy.
Tomorrow is Mother's Day in North America, but I don't know if that made a stream this morning.
Oh yeah, it is here. It is here too. So
yeah. That's why we did it.
Yeah, that's why we did it.
All the moms out there.
Now the wife is sleeping now, but I'm going to tell her tomorrow that I cancelled the stream on Sunday morning just so she could have a sleep in. But that's just between all of us.
That's how you do it.
Leave a like for all those mums, and the ones up in heaven too, or down below. I don't know, wherever they may be.
I got real sentimental to like the worst thing has ever happened.
I got a cup of tea. It's not orange. Now we do have a guest on. We're hoping Tej will be able to join us. TJC will be able to join us. He and his son are out looking for a birthday present, which obviously the more important than coming onto here. However,
may I suggest a Generation 2 Optimus Prime for the young lad?
or at least a roller.
At least a roller.
How is the fridge?
A copy of Megaforce.
Oh, even better. G.I. Jetman is here. The best G.I. Jetman we know. And we do have a special guest joining us later. They're also running a bit behind. And that is Brian Hickey. And we'll... now, Spaceman, you want to tell everyone in the chat and all of us here who exactly Brian Hickey is, as if they don't already know.
Brian Hickey is the publisher of Total Toy Books. They have a website, but they're books that specialize in a lot of the toy lines that my generation enjoyed down in the UK and across in Ireland, and that's Action Force, Star Wars, and he's got some. There you go. He's got some very interesting news coming up.
Oh, yes. Well, if he met,
hope to see.
We hope he shows up. Yeah. Adam already hit him up and said, "Don't worry about it. I'm here today."
All right, I got you. I
got this.
I need to say this though. I missed you all, but I missed Spacey the most last night. So, my son is in.
Fair enough.
Special drama presentation.
We'll just head out, Gazz. We'll just head out.
You guys do.
See you guys.
So tell me,
we're taking over. So my son is in a special drama program at school, and so he'll graduate high school with a diploma, but also a degree in dramatic arts and acting. So he's in this play, and they've been going all around the province doing competitions. So they went to like the provincial, like top competition. So their last night we went and watched them play, and they did great. They killed it. They were the best. It was fantastic. However, a play that was on before them, a school did Kaleidoscope by Ray Bradbury as a play.
That's cool.
I was like, well, how are they going to do this? And so it was more like an immersive experience. So they hit all the lights. It was a total blackout in the theater. And they had these like helmet colors they made with lights shining on their faces, and then they were like floating around the auditorium and like talking to each
That's
other
cool.
as they're all dying. I was like, this is. My wife was like, "What is happening? What kind of play is this?" I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." I was like, "You know how ambitious it is for a high school troupe to be like, we're going to do a Ray Bradbury short story as a play."
Wow.
So I was like, "Ah,
That is fantastic.
Here's to you guys.
Yeah, here's to you guys. And here's to Grayson and taking off in his acting career. I hope he remembers us when he's rich and famous. Now I saw some great photos that Heather put up. One of which was you in a bookstore, which is great. Another one was Grayson on stage. Fantastic. But my favorite one was a big old hug. Love that photo.
So, do you want to know something interesting about that big old hug?
Tell me.
So that is, I realized something yesterday. So that is my first best friend after high school. Like the first guy I would call like a best friend. And I call him Outback Rob because he's from Australia and moved to Canada. So I'm just like,
see, there's a precedence for it.
Yeah. So I was like, I got more Australian friends now. And so we hadn't seen them in 10 years, but they lived close. They came back to see Grayson, so that's why he gave him a big old hug.
That is great.
Yeah, I do want to say so. After they do their play, all the actors come out and. There's like a Q&A, so there's an adjudicator there and some like big arts and drama people, and so all these people were asking the cast a Q&A. And at one point in time in the play, Grayson picks a guy up by his scruff and slams him on the ground in a bit of an action fighting scene. And one of the questions asked my son is, "Hey, like with that scuffle you guys had, like how hard was it to work on staging that, and like how do you do that without hurting each other? Like what was involved in that?" And now this is like a very dramatic and arts room full of people. And my son says without hesitation, "Well, if you've ever watched professional wrestling, you'd know it's all about trust."
Great answer.
What a
Great
guy.
answer. Quick shout out to Corbett Lang. Check out his channel. He's got some great stuff happening over there. Also has been officially invited to RonCon.
We are going to be hanging out with Cobra Lang so soon.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Speaking of so good, birthday boy coming up tomorrow, 21 years old, TJC. Wearing the Go Figure shirt.
Look at it, the guy's wearing his finest. Are you going to a gala later or something?
Well,
What'd you get for your birthday? What'd you get for your birthday?
Well, tomorrow my birthday, so I don't know what it is. Jace is hiding it now because I got work tomorrow. So he's hiding around the house, and then we've got a bit of a hunt on my stuff. So
okay.
Happy birthday, Tej.
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah.
21 again.
And again the year after. Coming in smoking hot at Same Time Toys. Good to see you, buddy. They've got a really cool live stream format too, so you should check those guys out. I always enjoy it. Now, I'm not a smoker. I've never been that cool, and I don't think I ever will be. But they aren't afraid. They aren't afraid to give it a crack.
I always kind of wanted to roll a pack of cigarettes up in my sleeve, because that's
cool. Oh yeah, just have the. I want that, but the candy variety. Just have the candy packs.
We should do that.
Yeah, you used to do that as a kid because of Schneider from One Step at a Time.
You know what? You know what we're going to do? We're going to
one day at a time.
We're going to roll it up. We're going to roll it up in our sleeves for RonCon, maybe even Joe Fest. But you also got to have one in your ear.
Yeah.
One in the ear, pack in the sleeve. Now remember.
Do they still do candy sticks?
It's gonna be too hot. It's just gonna melt.
Adam will 3D print them. 3D print that for us, Adam.
The low calorie candy sticks for men in their 40s.
Probably just as unhealthy as the real stuff.
But just a reminder, hot off the presses, we got our VIP passes in.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, yes. Hang on, I'm going to solo you for a second. Let's get a look at it. Oh, yeah. Be upwind if you're not into it. All right, let's solo Adam. He can show us the passes. Whoop.
Limited edition, limited supply, RonCon, 25 VIP passes, ready to go. This is it. It's happening. We're done the final run here.
Was that one upside down because it's for the Down Under?
That's right.
Yep. Oh, brilliant quote too. We'll have to make sure to get Spoon Killer an honorary badge because of all the hard work he's put in for
We're together
RonCon.
an honorary package for Spoon Killer. Are they going to be at Joe Fest?
No, unfortunately, but you never say never. Now, the weekend, he said, is, and in that time is for family, right? And so I'm thinking, what better family experience is there than Joe Fest? Just bring the kids along. I'm bringing my son with me.
I'm sure the missus would love that.
Grayson loved Joe Fest last year.
Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe, but probably not. Either way, family's important. So do the family thing. Are they fads? Now, fads, Space Commander, were called something else when I was a kid. They're called fads now, but it was a term that they used to use for smoking that you're not allowed to use now. Anyway, guess who's here? Geek Strong. He knows I'm Geek Week, but he shows up anyway. Good to see you, buddy. Is Geek Strong? Where's Geek Strong from? Beanie Boy.
He's from the gym.
He is from the gym. Is he going to be at Joe Fest, I wonder?
Planet Hollywood.
Planet-
Wait, I said Hollywood. I said Hollywood.
Hollywood. Yeah, I forgot to bring him.
Baby, Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
I can't wait till RonCon because then the guys will be Hollywood North. So one of the things we're going to do after one of our RonCon expeditions is when we're going to be in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. We're going to do a little bit where we're all going to go and buy from the Ron store a X-Men Toy Biz figure, and then go down the road to where they filmed X-Men, and the X-Mansion is there, and we're all going to take pictures with our X-Men at the X-Mansion.
Yes. How good is that, Gazz? How good is that?
Sweet.
Before we get into the show, I do want to touch on RonCon a little bit. Northeast America, so that's close to Area 51, right? Am I right, Gaz?
No, that's where I am.
Oh, okay.
Zazel. Area 51 is on the west coast.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll remember that. Like the Avengers.
On the Joe Fest, you think we could swing by Area 51?
I think that's what broke the whimsy in the world. Was the day you could Google Maps where Area 51 is, and it shows you.
Yeah.
There's no more mystery in the world.
Did you know that you can actually take there's an air tour? Some guy will fly on the border of Area 51 while the air control's telling him to get the hell out of airspace. You're sitting in the plane, you're sitting in the Cessna. The U.S. Air Force is telling you to leave, and the guy's like, "Yeah, so it's right there. Yeah, we're good. Let me slide over."
Just keep going.
Right there.
There it is. There's Hazel. See, I bloody told you all the way over here. Heroic Nonsense. Another attendee of RonCon can't make it for unfortunate work business. Boo. However, Gaz, we do have a contingency plan for people that have to work, and that is that we call up sick for them.
That is a free service that we offer.
Free service.
It is a free service. I'm going to put
the chopper. Not. It's another story.
There we go. That's right. Look, I'm not saying you'll get away with it, but Heroic Nonsense. What day is what? The X-Men day? That's a RonCon day, isn't it? You know what?
Yeah.
Let's talk about RonCon for a quick sec. Adam, you want to run us through our events for RonCon, please?
Yeah, well, we'll get the schedule up here, and we can give a little more a definition of what exactly is going on. Hold on.
Yeah.
I have it here on my phone. It's going to be
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it, but I'm not going to show a picture because that's weird. But, okay, so what happens is Friday, June 13th, the Legends arrive. And so that's Zazel and Xavian are showing up. And Gaz, if you're available, you can come early, but you don't have to. And also, there's been a new VIP Express event happening that night. And so we're having a little celebration for a good friend named Tara, who you know from the cafe. So we're going to
yes.
That evening, we're doing a little bit of a Terabration, we call it, where it's her birthday.
Perfect. London Fogs or?
London Fogs all around.
Nice, my shout.
So then the next day, Saturday, June 14th, and that's when Gaz arrives, correct?
Possibly 14th, possibly that Friday.
Okay.
Yes. I'll pick you up on my way past Area 51.
I got a long.
It's right next door.
A 36-hour ride to Area 51 to go back to Canada.
It's on the way.
It's all right, no worries.
Guys, I'm going to RonCon. Lay off. So Saturday, June 14th is maybe the biggest day of RonCon as far as activity-wise. So we're going to be going to the 400 Market for a toy hunt. Now, the 400 Market is on the side of the 400 Highway in Barrie, and so it's a massive flea market. So it's all kinds of crazy stuff in there. But beside it is also an antique mall that has all kinds of stuff in there. So we're going to be doing some toy hunting there. And then when we're done there, we're going to be taking a little detour to Barrie, Ontario to go check out a massive 4-story antique mall called Sanford & Son, copyright infringement. And we're going to go there and we're going to go and continue the toy hunt there.
It's the big one.
It's the big one. Big one. So we're going to do some antique shopping or antiques roadhouse stuff, kind of toy hunting. Then we're going to come back to Go Figure headquarters, where we're going to have the podcast, Phantom Podcast hosted bonfire in the backyard, which looks like it's going to be just full of incredible people and going to be just the best time ever. So the running.
Well, I think Heroic Nonsense is going to be able to attend the campfire. Michael Mercy should be able to attend the campfire. I think Xavier, if he's behaved himself, will let him out of the cage and he can come and enjoy the campfire. Right. I mean, and all the boys from Fandom Power Podcast, the best podcast powered by fandom.
Now, I
and Corbin Lang.
Nice. Now, I'm going to let you guys know I either need support or enabling. I don't know what it is. But there are, at the 400 Market, there are 2 separate sword dealers that just deal in swords.
Okay. All right.
And they have a full-scale Motu power sword there that I look at every time I go by. And so I either need you guys to keep me at bay from spending money on a huge power sword before Joe Fest, or maybe push me over the edge to pull the trigger on that.
If you get the sword, I'll buy the watermelons.
That's the kind of stuff that's going to push me over the edge.
I'm here for you, buddy. Heather won't like it.
Going, I don't know.
Watermelon for the campfire that.
Be like, I don't know. Why don't you buy it? Just go ahead, buy it.
Yeah,
buy it. Go ahead.
The sword is for the campfire.
And get Excalibur while you're there.
Yeah. Well, my daughter already has the Sword of Omens, and so we could do a little.
Well, then it's like bookends. You got the 2 best swords. You only got 1 for now. You're gonna. Who here? Hands up. Show of hands. And in the chat, who thinks you should get the power sword? I think yes.
Go get the power sword.
And if you get 2, then you can put a gem in one of them, and it can be She-Ra's power sword. And if you get 3, you can paint one purple. And if you put those 2 together, you got the key to Castle Grayskull. This is all win-win.
And then if you put on a plaid shirt, I can get you an orange one, and you can be like the Faker Adam.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you should get.
And I'll bring Connor McLeod's sword and call you from the border saying I got detained.
Yeah, and my wife is beside me, and she goes, and then you can take all 4 of those swords, and you can move to Australia.
Whoa, she's taking you out.
I've mentioned this sword story in the past, but I'm going to mention it again, specifically for Heroic Nonsense. Now, when I was at my brother's birthday, he was having a backyard birthday party at a friend of his. It wasn't at his house. His house wasn't big enough. We went to a friend of his, which was around the corner. Now, we now Australians can drink a lot, all right? And I did. I drank a lot. I drank enough for 2 Australians. But what put me over the edge was the tequila. And after having enough tequila, I decided it was a good idea to walk home, back to my brother's house, and put myself to bed, which is a smart move. It's like, okay, I've had enough, guys. I'm going to walk home and put myself to bed. The next morning, no, I didn't even make it to the bed. I put myself to bed on the lounge. The next morning I heard the words, "Who the fuck are you?" And I sat up in the lounge and I was like, this is not my brother's house. I had broken into somebody's house. And not only did I literally broke in, I broke his back door window to open the door to let myself in to put myself to sleep. Now, thankfully, all I had to do was pay for the damage, which is fair. and the rest was swept under the rug. Not the glass. The glass would have been just swept up and thrown out. But yeah, the problem was that the glass on the door was like a very specific style, and it was a great looking pattern before I broke it. And I felt so bad. But this guy was nicer than he had to be. Like, I'm a stranger in his house, on his lounge, asleep. But anyway, getting to the swords. When the best part of the whole story was, as we were talking, I was trying to explain my situation. I look around, and this guy's got samurai swords all over his lounge. Like, they're everywhere. And I'm just looking at this, still half cut, looking around going, oh, far out. I might not make it out of here. But he ended up being a good fella. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do it at all. Don't do it anywhere.
That's almost a shot-for-shot remake of the scene from the opening of Bloodsport, where they break into that guy's house and try and steal his sword. They cut the beak off his hat.
You know, tell you what though,
nearly sliced and diced hazel there.
Well, I honestly thought I was going to get a little bit of slicing and dicing, but the thing about it was, he goes, all right, just give me your phone number, and I never remember what my phone number is, right? I can't even tell you what my number is now. He goes, just tell me your number, and give me your number, and I'll contact you with a bill. I said, yep, cool. I pulled out my phone, and it was smashed. Somehow, between where I was and where I was going, I must have dropped it and smashed it, so I couldn't even get in there, and tell him where he goes, well, where were you going? So I was going to my brother's house. He goes, where's that? I said, I don't even know where I am now. Anyway, good thing. It was fun.
Maybe you used the phone to get through the glass.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So I was down one phone and I had a bill for a window. But yeah.
Okay.
Oh
so
yeah, that too.
Rom-com, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
June.
Yep, sorry, moving on. Sorry to bore you with that story, Adam. Let's move on. Yeah.
Great story. I just know we got to get to a lot of space talk, so let's get through this rom-com.
Oh yeah.
So the next day, on Sunday, June 15th in the afternoon, we were heading to a place called Goblins and Goblets, which is a restaurant / game lounge in Newmarket, Ontario, and we're going to be playing Dungeons and Grayskulls. And so,
perfect.
I got a buddy who's a dungeon master. Named Danny, and he is putting together a Motu themed Dungeons and Dragon quest for us. And what we're going to do is we have a number of preset characters, and we're just going to draw characters from a hat, and that's the Motu characters that we're going to be. And then we got to go on an adventure and figure out how to beat Skeletor and his evil mates.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds good to me. All right. Before we go on, I've got to introduce our special guest, Brian, who's here.
Hey.
How are you, buddy?
Hey,
guys, how you doing?
I was here for a good time, not a long time. I'll put you in the middle.
Beautiful.
How are you? Good. Good to hang out again, bud. It's been a long time.
It's great to get back on chatting with you guys, and so sorry I got delayed. I was actually at a photo shoot this morning for the Palatoy Saga Star Wars book that I'm working on.
Ah, nice.
And it was amazing, but the traffic trying to get back was nuts. So apologies.
I didn't realize you guys had a lot of traffic where you were. There's only 3 cars in the country, isn't there?
It's only 3 cars, but they're really slow, and I was stuck behind them. You can't overtake in these roads here. They're just like little country boreans.
Beautiful.
Well, it's good to see you. And no offense to Adam, but you could pass for Richard Kahn. There you go, from Home Improvement. If you say so.
I played Al Borland in a Christmas play when I was in grade 5.
I believe it.
Meant to be. There you go.
All right, so Brian, we'll put a pause on Roncom. We'll touch back on it in a moment. Brian's only here for a short while. He's got way better things to do than hang out with us knuckleheads. I hit you up, Brian, and I was like, you know what, we should hang out because it's the UK time. You know, it's better suited for you. And you were like, well, that's great news because in about a few hours there's going to be something dropping. I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. So Brian, we're gonna pass over to you, and you can tell us this fantastic news.
So, do you know what? I'm so excited about Total Action Force Volume 3, which is going to be coming to Kickstarter in a few weeks. There's a pre-launch page up there right now. and people can go to that pre-launch page. They can, follow the pre-launch page, and once it goes live, they'll get notified. But really, what this is about, this is closing out the Action Force trilogy of books that myself and Paddy and David have kind of worked on in the past. And this book is really going to dive into the sort of all the pre-production work. So the concept drawings, kit bash models. It's drawing on material that came from Bob Breakin's personal collection and Brian Turner, another brilliant designer who passed away late last year. And also from the design studio, Raffo and Pape, who would have been a third party that Palitoy would have subcontracted design out to them. So all those assets are coming together in this book, and it's going to give a really the most comprehensive overview of the pre-production and Action Force that's never been seen before. So I'm really excited to share that. But also in the book, we're going to be featuring the carded lineup of what was released, the boxed lineup of what was released, and a few other kind of sort of tangential Action Force pieces. Like there was kind of a telephone, an Action Force telephone, that like a two-way line that you could have a conversation with your buddies. Now, before there was the internet, you had the Action Force telephone. And other little bits and pieces like, Action Force printing sets and other kind of related merch around that. So that'll also be in the book. So it'll close out that Action Force story from in terms of the story we're trying to tell, and I'm so excited to be able to share that with people, hopefully in a few weeks' time.
Nice. I'll put the link in the description for the website you're talking about, Brian, so people can jump on there and have a squiz. The best we had as far as pre-internet phones for us was 2 cans and a piece of string, and even then nobody usually picked up the other line. At least they weren't picking up from my end. I'll go onto the website and show off this. We're going to do it the old school way, and I'll show off the new cool picture. Website, hitting this up. Where are we? Remember how we do it, Gazz?
Gazz's technology. Just show a screen on a screen.
I've got one of the books. Space Commander's babysitting it for me.
Oh, yeah, I've got 3 of them for you, but when I
well, there you
go. The amount of hassle we had with the post up here. Oh my god! Actually, Zazel, you might have to edit out some of the swearing, but if you've still got those audio clips I sent you of me trying to get stuff sent to Australia, and the absolute panic, horror, and revulsion of the little old grannies who work in the local space post office up here. That.
There it is.
Now that's the alternative version of Baron Ironblood on the front there.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, there you go. It's funny that you mentioned that, because G.I. Joe have a saying, because if you don't know something...
Because knowing is half the battle.
Space Commander.
Knowing is half the battle, because when it comes to Action Force, I don't know shit. And the only reason why I do know is because of Brian Hickey and Space Commander. Those two guys have been able to go through a vast history of the Action Force characters for me, and I do appreciate it. Yeah, but apparently those books are so heavy that getting them here is expensive, unless, which you didn't know, Space Commander, you said there were books.
Yeah, so once I had, because I had like some Christmas stuff I wanted to send Zazel as well. They weighed too much. They were over. Was it 2 kilos or 3? I think it was 2 kilos. And so I kept taking stuff out and thinking, oh well, he'll just have to have this later in the year, and he'll have to have this another time, and maybe I'll send him this for next Christmas or whatever. Take it back, seal it up. The thing is, because I had a rough idea of that you have to have a certain size box as well. So because I had a rough idea of what size and shape it was, I kept using the same box, and every time you cut it open, you're weakening the integrity of it. Sorry, I worked in warehousing once, so I had to reseal the same box over and over again. So by the end, it was cocooned in tape, and I take it up and have to start filling out the paperwork, and she's like, what is the contents? And I said, well, it's a load of books. Burks. Why didn't anybody say it was Burks? You get 5 kilos with Burks.
He'd already gutted it out to try and get it underweight, and he could have gotten it over there. Oh well, in the end,
you'll have to release the post office files sometime.
A sad Spacey walked home that day.
It wasn't. No, he was so angry. I will play the sound clips on another show, but he did the voices and everything. It was like a whole saga. I waited in anticipation, but I think we figured out it's going to be cheaper if I just go and pick him up myself and bring him home with me. So there's an idea. Speaking of, go ahead.
Because I'm a kid-friendly action figure.
Mm.
I don't swear. So Space Commander does not swear. So you'll have to thin out the swear words, okay?
Yeah, I'll put Space Commander.
Voiceover like they used to do here for some of the movies. That was a famous one. Anyway, go ahead.
I loved the TV edited version of Total Recall.
I was going to say Die Hard too.
Because it's almost like it just says baloney a lot. He's like, it's all baloney.
I like RoboCop. When they showed RoboCop up here, it was like, once I even called him Airhead.
Yeah.
Just like really muffled, a completely different voice, and Airhead. It's like when they turned Sergeant Slaughter into Sergeant Slammer for the Action Force VHS tapes.
I have a Criterion release of Scarface on DVD, and on it they have the TV edited version, and he keeps saying that he eats a lot of pineapple.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, we're 36 minutes into the show and haven't even officially started yet. But to Brian, to finish up before we talk about our favorite space sagas. You're going to be at Joe Fest this year. That's correct, right? You're there. Tell me that's true.
I'm going to miss Joe Fest this year, unfortunately, because I've actually mentioned this in a few other shows. My son is going to go to college in America later this year, so he'll be traveling over in August. I'm going to be going over with him when he heads over. So I've only got the budget for one US trip this year, and unfortunately, I've got to link it in with the kids' college. So I definitely will be in America, but it's just going to be a few months after Joe Fest. So I'm really sorry. I'm going to miss you guys, and everybody else is going to be there because I know it's going to be an amazing show.
Crowdfund.
Yeah. Let's figure it out. It's not too late.
Let's get Brian to Joe Fest.
That'll never come back to haunt you if you do a GoFundMe. Yeah, that always ends well.
The main thing is it got you there, Zazel. That's the main thing.
That's right. Thanks, TJ. I appreciate that. Well, Brian, you will be missed. I won't bother with the rest of my questioning then to do with Joe Fest, and we'll just figure it out after. But never mind. I'm heartbroken, but another time. There will be other times.
I'm looking for sure, and I will be there in spirit, and I'm going to be all over the socials kind of when it's live, and because I know you guys are going to be posting, and the guys in Skeletron are going to be posting, and we've even got some of our Irish friends are heading over. Ray Murphy and Stephen Kelly, they're going to be there.
Oh yes.
And it was great. I was hanging out with the guys there last year. It was an amazing experience. And anyone watching, if you haven't had the chance to go to Joe Fest, it really is a brilliant, brilliant show. Highly recommend it.
Oh yeah. Well, Gazz and I are going to be there with spirits.
Right.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Stephen Kelly already has my SAS Panther set aside, so my first official Joe Fest purchase is already arranged. So
it's locked in.
Yeah.
Stephen's he's like the Action Force savior, for Joe Fest. He's going to be representing Action Force.
Oh, yeah.
Crowd.
Yeah, I've got a bag of Action Force stands I've made up for him for his Lucy figures that he's selling.
Oh, lovely.
Well, I know where we're hitting first then.
When Brian's new book comes out, it'll be interesting to see like the alternate versions of like Baron Ironblood and the other characters. I'd be interested in that because that might have a little bearing on something that Zazel and I have been working on. But let's talk for another time.
Ooh.
Oh yes,
Secret
some sort of
mission?
secret project.
Ooh.
But yes,
So,
so it sounds like it'd be a trip of a lifetime. So maybe someday if we can get the space station to coincide with the the geosynchronous orbit of the Earth just above Joe Fest, maybe I could do an orbital skydiver and pop down one day and see you guys.
Do it.
That'd be cool. But if Joe Fest doesn't work out, Space, we'll just bring RonCon to the UK.
RonCon UK.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I think we're doing.
That would be better for my wallet. So yes, RonCon UK. Let's do it.
Yeah, RonCon
As long,
UK.
as,
sounds
long as,
good
we,
to me.
as long as we can do a Jack the Tripper tour. A Jack the Ripper tour. Tripper.
Jack Tripper.
Okay, start again.
He didn't kill many people. He kept falling over.
Jack the
to get to
Tripper.
them.
Does it go with the Mr. Hurley as well?
Yeah, it's a Three's Company special.
Jack the Tripper.
They only come in
boy.
2 packs. It's Three's Company.
Is this where Jack Tripper killed Janet right here?
Oh man, you guys! If you
Oh,
guys
boy.
if you guys go to Joe Fest in fancy dress, at least one of you has got to be Jack the Tripper.
You see, I go find.
Well,
a
I'm going as
70s
Space
striped
Commander.
polo shirt, a pair of bell-bottom pants.
That's
Jack's
amazing.
representing.
Well, if we all arrived at a con, we should all go as kind of Space Force characters.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to give me
Right.
a Viper helmet.
I've got
Well, we'll have to go through another episode then, Brian. When you got a bit more time, we'll do another one of those character spotlights, and we can try and pick out who's going to be who in Space Force. Oh yeah, there's a way to do it.
I've got some more
It's a good
hats now,
transition.
so maybe I could help you guys out. You could
Oh yeah, we all need a hat. Yeah.
represent.
Well, it's better than one communal hat. Yeah.
Just keep passing that around.
That's what happened last time, didn't it? Who's wearing
Pass
the
it
hat?
around. Yeah.
Usually when you pass a hat, it's
All right.
full of money, but
Not this one. This one has been from the UK to Australia to America to Canada, and now it's been to Japan.
Wow.
So I think
Making
next
it
up
around.
Ireland, maybe, if the traffic isn't too bad.
It's
We'll pop
okay.
over.
It's more donkeys than cars, So
Oh yeah, same.
let's not get political, okay?
Did you know Australia has the most wild camels in the world?
really,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow.
You can take that one home with you. Lilith, you can fact check me on that one. Well, I think we export the most amount of camels as well,
Oh,
Is that a big industry?
but we lost the emu war.
I didn't even
Yeah.
realize there was a camel exporting business in Australia. Maybe we should get in.
Yeah, we can't handle them all. We export camels and lose to emus. So yeah,
Is it like
bet
an
Area
Escobar's
31.
hippo situation?
it's a what now?
Is it like a Escobar's hippo situation? Where Pablo Escobar
I'm
really and he imported a bunch, now they're overrunning the country. They can't get rid of them.
There's a hippo.
Well, yeah.
hippos, didn't it?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We got
So,
a couple, and then they became more than a couple. They're worse than rabbits over here.
You
So
guys
the
had that
pre-orders for
plague
the
around.
books, will they? Are you sending out a group email to everyone who's on your previous mailing list, or do they have to sign up for something in particular to get a pre-order a notification?
for the Total Action Force books. So if you're already on the mailing list, once the campaign goes live, or as soon as I lock in the actual go live date, I'm going to blast that out on the mailing list. So if you're not already signed up, go to totaltoybooks.com and sign up to the mailing list there. But if the pre-launch page on Kickstarter, you can follow that too. And once the campaign goes live, you'll get a notification about that. Right now, I'm knee deep in the design of the Palatoy Saga, the Star Wars toys book. So that is really kind of taking over my focus right now, and I've got a deadline for the end of this month to have the first draft design complete. So the pressure's on, but once I hit that deadline, the plan is then to go live with the the Total Action Force Volume 3 Kickstarter, because I'll have a bit more bandwidth then to be able to just focus on the campaign like while it's live. But I just can't take my focus off the Star Wars book just for the moment, because that is I've got a deadline to go to print, this summer, so I really have to keep the pressure on that one to make sure we stay on track. Oh yes, yeah.
Sorry.
There.
The technology is failed.
The ghost of Space Commander.
I must admit to being a little bit of a prankster, because every now and then I'll go on the Kickstarter page and I'll just put, "So, you guys been busy lately?"
I see. So you're that asshole.
Keep getting angry messages from Paddy saying, "Yes, we're very busy. Okay." I'm only playing.
Oh, I love those messages. I see them coming in. I love those messages. They're great.
Brian, for someone who's the busiest man in books that I know, you always have a positive attitude and a smile on your face. So it's nice to know that you're still enjoying the work and it hasn't beat you down. I know that you do put a lot of effort into this, and you're very excited for it. So that transitions to us as well. We feel that excitement, and it doesn't feel like work for you, at least from an outside perspective. For us, it seems like it's a passion project and has stayed as such. So we appreciate your enthusiasm for the fandom.
That's exactly what it is for me. I mean, I'm so lucky that I get to do something that I love doing on a subject matter that I love, and get to do it all the time. So like about 10 years ago, this was something I was daydreaming about, and I never thought I'd ever get to the point where I would just be kind of doing books the whole time. And finally to be, to be at this point, like it really is, it's amazing. Like I do work hard, but I have a really good time doing it. So it's great.
That's awesome.
Well, Lilith wants to know if you're ever going to showcase the VHS Action Force from the cartoons. You guys primarily focus on the Palatoy stuff, though, right?
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, the cartoons were never broadcast over here for us. So even when G.I. Joe ported over to the UK, it only had a VHS release, and by that stage, I don't want to say it wasn't released on VHS in Ireland, but if it was, I missed it. It wasn't on my radar, and it probably came at a point where I was, getting to that. I was in my really late teens, and I was kind of getting out of the toys altogether. In fact, I was just recounting a story with Paddy on the drive down to this photo shoot earlier today, when I was in one of these kind of discount kind of toy shops in Ballymun, where I grew up in the 80s. And I can remember a counter full of the Irish Action Force 4-packs. Just, they were piled on top of each other. And they included figures like, Recondo, Grunt, Cobra Trooper, like all those kind of figures. And I had all those figures anyway. But they were selling the 4-pack for 50p. Each pack was 50p. And I didn't buy any of them at the time, because I was getting out of toys and more into music. And I wish I could kind of send a message back to myself in the past saying, buy everything. Just clear the shop out, buy it all, and put it away till you're 50, and you won't regret it.
I think we've all got stories like that.
Yeah. That sounds relatable. Not sure what happened to Tej. He's dropped off. I can't add you to the stream until you've got a connected mic, apparently, Tej. Needs to connect mic or cam. Mic or cam's gone out.
His technology is worse than mine.
I think he's inherited your technology. Is it the Woolworth pack you're talking about?
The Woolworth packs, well, I don't know. I don't know if they are the same thing. I mean, the Irish 4-packs, they were very, they were just branded as action figures, so it didn't have an actual brand name on it. And it says made in China, printed in Ireland. Is really that.
The
that's
Irish
on it.
The Irish 4-pack sounds like a pretty cool gang, doesn't it? We are the Irish 4-pack. That's not a very good Irish accent. That's not even an Irish accent at all. So
This kind of sounds sort of Australian.
yeah. Never been very good at accents, not even my own.
Oh, here I can only do my own. The only accent I can do is this one, so I'm stuck with it.
You're nailing it. You nailed it. Yeah.
Same thing with me. Can just do this one.
You've convinced me. Well, I think. How much longer have you got, Brian? You got some time to sit down and talk some Space Sagas with us?
Oh, I love talking Space Sagas. In fact, where I was today, I was photographing one of the Irish 3-packs of the Star Wars figures. I haven't had a chance to get them off my camera yet because I'm literally just in the door. But there's an antique shop down in a town called Wicklow. It's about an hour and a half's drive from where I live, and he had put an ad up to say that he had a nice collection of good bourbons. I'm pretty sure that doesn't exist. I mean, we wouldn't call it bourbon; it would be whiskey. That's what we'd call it.
That's right.
But so yeah, I saw this. So one of my buddies kind of gave me the heads up that this antique shop had and was selling an Irish space figures 3-pack. So I'd bought from this antique shop before, so I got in touch. I asked to kind of come down today to photograph. He said no problem. So me and Paddy hit the road. We got some lovely photos of this 3-pack because the Irish 3-pack is part of the Palatoy story. It's where Palatoy operated kind of a sailor return policy with the with the retailers in the UK, so they would get a lot of stock coming back that wasn't kind of selling, particularly at the end of the line, and that stock made its way to Ireland, and we don't know how it got to Ireland, but it was packed up here and then distributed through kind of small independent retailers. So these are retailers that would have been like maybe a family-owned shop. It wasn't part of a chain or a franchise. It could be John's shop in Ballymun, and that's the name of the shop because it was owned by John, and then he had like a counter full of these kind of Action Force 4-packs and the space figures, the 3-packs, and that this would have been around. I was trying to work out the timeline with Paddy today, so it was probably around 88 or 87 at the earliest. So it's a great part of the story. So it's not obviously a huge part of the story, but I think that they are important pieces to collectors. There's a big demand for them. So we just wanted to give them a kind of a mention in the book. And it's great to be able to see one in person and get to photograph it. Couldn't afford to buy it, obviously. But
how much were they selling it for?
Well, this particular antique store has it advertised as €2,500.
Okay. Well, that seems reasonable for a cheap toy.
Well, that seems more than 50p. They know they're doing markets like that.
Well, the return on investment for the original 50p purchase would be, I can't even do the maths to work out what that percentage is, but it'd be incredible.
Now, will you tell us who was in this 3-pack?
We had 9 Gnome, the Emperor, and Boba Fett.
Oh, that is a tremendous 3-pack already. How cool is the Emperor? #1 shopping list toy. Christmas of what, 80...
The Emperor?
80, yeah. 84.
That thing's worth like...
85?
How much was it worth? Sorry, Brian, what was the price on that?
€2,500.
All right, so like, yeah, it's about $2,000 for Boba Fett, and the rest go to the other two.
Yeah.
I was being sarcastic, Gazz.
I just realized or found out this week that 9 Num is a puppet. Like, it wasn't a guy in a suit; it was a full puppet.
Which was 9 Num? Is that the guy who piloted the Falcon
beside Lando? And there's
that was a puppet.
Lando's sitting there, and then guys like puppeteering 9 Num beside him. There's no he doesn't have. So Kenner just made up what his legs look like.
Wow.
I only just... Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I only just found out that bit of trivia maybe 2-3 years ago. Very recently.
Yeah, it's
great.
great.
Up until this point, I thought it was a real guy.
Yeah, a real guy, yeah. No, the best one is 10 Num, because after 9, you got to go 10.
Oh yeah, 10 num. I only know 10
That's a real guy.
A real guy. There's also a burrito too, right? A Greedo and a burrito.
Burrito.
All real.
I always like the idea. I always like the idea of the 7 deadly Rhodians.
Yeah.
Isn't it 7?
Like Ratho and who? Slotho, yeah.
They all died at the ricochet shot.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're the ones that show up in the same costume that Greedo had.
Yeah. It's like a carnival game. How many Rhodians can you kill?
All right. So, number one question I want to ask Brian when we're talking about Space Sagas is, where do you sit on the Farscape debate? The best there ever was as far as TV sci-fis, or second best there ever was? Next to Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I've got to say, I am not really well up in my Farscape. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
So that's
so second best then. Second best.
we give it second best.
Well, I mean,
Right.
it's the Hans rating, so it's either great or it's not.
Yeah, best movie ever, worst movie ever.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
When it comes to sci-fi, I've got a real, or space sagas. I mean, I don't know if Doctor Who kind of counts kind of a space saga, but
it counts.
I would have a lot of kind of real nostalgia connection to Doctor Who.
Yeah,
particularly Tom Baker. He was my doctor growing up.
Yes,
and
same.
that show used to terrify me. I would be, but at the same terrified, but couldn't stop watching it.
John,
And of course, you see some of the snippets of the show now, and the special effects are so kind of they're not even special. The effects really, but
right, yeah.
you just had Tom Baker was just a brilliant actor, and he really brought the character to life, and he just commanded the whole scene. But yeah, the Daleks, the Cybermen, nightmares, terrified me. K9, loved K9, the Doctor's little robot dog sidekick. He was great. But yeah, so the Doctor, I mean, obviously, Star Wars is a huge one for me. I mean, you can tell from behind me there. But and of course, Space Force. Not really a space saga, Space Force, but I love Space Force too.
It's interesting when you say that Doctor Who gave me nightmares, but you couldn't look away. About 5-6 years ago, I introduced my daughter to Doctor Who, and she's a sci-fi nut. And but she was like, I don't know, 9 at the time. And so we usually watch a Doctor Who episode before bed. And then she would say to me sometimes, well, Dad, that one was quite scary. And I don't think I should go to bed after watching a scary one. So we need to watch one more. She always like, before bed.
She sounds smart.
Yeah. Well, so you guys watch another one? I'm like, yeah, one more is fine.
That theme song really hooks you in. But I was surprised at how many people of my generation were watching Doctor Who from behind the couch, because that's what I did. I was pretty young when Tom Baker was Doctor Who, but he was my Doctor Who. And
you also had for us. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I imagine you watched it in Australia as well, but you had obviously Blake 7, didn't you?
Oh, Blake 7, yes.
Blake, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, Blake 7 is a cracker, and that's dark sci-fi. I mean, that is the Andor of the 1980s. You think Andor today? It's a brilliant show.
That was a brilliant
Blake
show. Yeah,
7 were doing it decades before.
I remember there was an episode of that when I was a kid. It spooked me so much. I remember running out of the house and hiding in the garden, like Caesar, like the time when Skeletor popped up at the end of the Masters of the Universe movie, and you ran out of your house. I did the same thing. Now, Blake 7. And the funny thing is, years later, and I got the Blake 7 box set on DVD, courtesy of Mr. Space Commander. Thank you very much. I got to that episode and I was like, this is the bit. Oh no.
And Spacey went.
Did you run outside again?
I had to put on my full space suit and space helmet because, of course, I just opened the door up here.
Is it funny though? You watch something that scared the dickens out of you when you were a kid. So like when you watch it, you're like butching up, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna get scared this time.
Yeah. They're going to get me again.
Every time I watch Jaws, because Jaws petrified me as a kid. I watched that when I must have been like 6 when I saw that, and it petrified. I would not go. We went to the beach. I would not go near the water.
Yeah,
I was petrified.
Gaz, I need to show you something. My cousin Eric, who was on Zeller Fellers with us one time, just sent me a picture. He said he was out at a pub last night.
Jaws? Is this Jaws? Let me hold on.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Toughen up.
And one of the drinks was a dull and lifeless eyes cocktail.
Yes.
We ordered it, and this is the drink he got.
Oh, sweet.
Let me solo so I can get a good look at it. I've got old man eyes. Oh, that's cool.
What the
I like it. I like it.
That is pretty sweet.
Dull and lifeless eyes Jaws drink.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I just watched that the other day.
That's a good call, Michael.
I was talking to my dad yesterday because we stopped at his place, and we were talking about like movies, and he said like back in the day, we're both old men now. Me and my dad, we've got to that age where we're both old bitter guys. Movies were like way more rewatchable than they are now. The movies coming out now are like, hey, you watch it and it's like, yeah, that's great, and you move on. But like, if I see Jaws on TV and it's halfway through, I'll just stop turning channels and watch the rest of Jaws. Like, there's some movies you just watch.
I got news for you, man.
Anymore.
They got all the Jaws movies here on YouTube for free.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay.
Jaws 3D. Can't wait to watch that.
What's the great one when they're looking when Louis Gossett
like
sitting
3D.
looking in the window and he sees Jaws and he's coming at him? That's great. I love it.
Come on, Dennis Quaid. Come on, he's good in anything.
What a great
Dennis
movie.
Quaid has
including Jaws 3D. No, he's my General Hawk. Speaking of RonCon, Michael Mercy will be joining us at RonCon. Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, sweet. Looking forward to that.
In actual fact, the logo that I'm using in the top corner there was sent to me very kindly by Michael. So blame him. Let me get a little bit of context for that He-Man story, Space Man. I know you brought it up. And tell me if this is fair or not fair for a young child to be afraid of, right? So I used to watch the VHS copy of Masters of the Universe just about every single day, right? And sometimes I'd watch all of it. Sometimes I'd watch part of it, stop it, and come back to it later. But it was always on. And I would play Masters of the Universe in front of it and act out sometimes what was on the TV or have my own adventures while it was playing. And this one time, for the first time, and I'd seen this movie 100 times, but this one time for the first time, I let the credits roll, right? And I thought I knew everything about this movie, forwards and backwards. And then finally it gets to the end of the credits, and there's an extra scene with Skeletor where he pops up out of this liquid and states that he will be back. I thought, in my childhood brain, that somehow Skeletor had possessed my VHS copy of Masters of the Universe, absolutely spooked the hell out of me, and so I ran outside to be in the garden like Space Commander said. However, I was only wearing my underwear. So I was so scared. I'm out there in my tidy whities, gripping He-Man tightly in my palm, and it was scary.
You just said you were playing He-Man. That's all.
Yeah,
Your
playing He-Man.
That story also hits me different because when I've learned this, when you say garden, you're referring to what we would call like your backyard, like the whole lawn. And in Canada, the garden is just a small place where the flowers are. Like,
well, I
mind,
petrified those flowers.
I went and I hid in the garden, and it said you running through your yard and then hiding behind like a foot and a half.
I was behind the dandelions,
just pointing towards the TV.
Yeah. No.
The neighbors in his window going like this. There's that kid again.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
There's that weird kid.
Hazel, that's a brilliant story. But I grew up growing up in Ireland in the 70s and 80s. Before there was a watershed, you would get to see all kinds of content on the TV that just should not have been on the TV for kids.
Yeah.
You know, and there were a couple of times, yes, I did. Well, it mightn't have run out of the house, but I certainly ran out of the sitting room when I got a few scares, like in the daytime. And I can remember going to the cinema as a kid. My parents bringing us to the cinema. I can't remember what the movie was, but I certainly remember that the trailer for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that scared the shit out of me. So it's oh yeah. They would advertise any movie regardless of what they were showing at the time. Whereas I think nowadays it's like, if they won't show like, you know, horror movies, if it's like a Disney movie that people are going to see.
They're age specific what is to the film.
Yeah. But that trailer is petrifying though, that Texas Chainsaw one. If it's the one I'm remembering, it actually shows the end of the movie in the trailer. Am I correct in remembering that?
That happened a lot back in the way back when. There's like the old the Hammer films, Hammer horror. You watch the trailer for any of them, and the trailer pretty much ends with the final scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, Brian? You weren't one of the ones who used to get like an older brother or sister, or your friend's older brother used to go to the video shop and hire you like a horror film at an 18, and then you used to watch it with your friends and stuff. You know, you didn't used to do that.
Well, I'm the oldest in my family, but I certainly remember going to. My dad would bring us to the video shop. You know, maybe he'd pick something for him and my mom, and then we could pick something for ourselves. But they would have, like the video shop. It's not like, you know, it wasn't like a big chain of video stores. It was like a guy who had a video shop in Finglas, up the road from where we lived, and you'd walk in, there'd be like porn videos on the shelves, you know, all over the place. But then beside the porn, you'd have the horror. So you'd have like Driller Killer,
right?
You know, the cover, and a guy getting a drill into his head. It was traumatic. You know, I'm smiling now, but like really, like when I get off the call, I'm just going to go back down on the floor and be crying.
Yeah. Run out to the garden.
There was also a reality that when you picked a movie on a Friday night, good, bad, or ugly, you were watching it because that was your movie. It wasn't like
you were stuck with it. Yeah,
you were committed.
Yeah. The VHS cover that scared me the most as a kid was the American Werewolf in London.
Oh yeah,
and it was like the mid transformation one. That image on there.
There was also an era where you were just like straight up lied to about what was the movie content because of the cover. I remember buying or renting a movie one time called Switchblade Sisters, and it looked like this Mad Max movie with all these like crazy girls like killing each other and whatnot.
That sounds familiar.
And then
I'm gonna look that up. That sounds familiar.
And I rented it, and it's just like a 1950s like kind of like tough guy gang movie a little bit. Like it's kind of lame.
I remember I was about Sisters. I think I was about 7 or 8, and like I say, a friend of mine, his older sister went and rented this Nightmare on Elm Street.
Look at that sweet poster.
I quite enjoyed that. I was only about 8.
Oh, God. Which one was that, Tej?
The first Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched it about 7 or 8.
Oh, you didn't get bugged out like at night?
No, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good. My friend on the other
hand, Freddy was my favorite bad guy.
Yeah,
I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I like the whole series was my favorite in high school. I think I was probably year maybe 8 or 9 when I finally got to Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was just was enthralled by it.
I enjoyed that. I think the funniest one for me was the Dream Warriors, when they did it, when they actually had their own characters they dreamt about and they fought him against it, and that was just that. I just thought that was great. That one, I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
I think 4 and 5 are really good back to back. Freddy 1 is obviously fantastic. 2 gets a bit of hate, but I liked 2.
Yeah,
Space Commander wouldn't like 2.
2 is a bit freaky, yeah.
I didn't think he'd like 2.
Count me out. I like the Dream Warriors theme tune by Dokken, but the actual movies, no, count me out. Sorry, guys, doing that.
Cindy. I was going to say Cindy Lauper. Who was the one that sang "Nothing Compares to You"? Who that was?
Sinead O'Connor.
Another Irish beauty. She did a song that was featured in one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I was like, "Who sings this song?" and it was Sinead O'Connor. Rest in peace. Brilliant,
She had
musician.
her first big hit was a song called Mandinka.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I always thought, why on earth hasn't some chain of, motor car repair garages used this as a song in their advert? Mandinka would be a perfect fit. But these are the kind of things. These are the kind of things you think of when you're a little kid, you know.
We actually did a project at school for Nightmare on Elm Street. We're supposed to be talking about Space Sagas. We'll get there. We did a project in high school where we put all the scenes that we had at the time that we had on VHS, which wasn't all of them, because we only had Freddy's Dead, plus I think 2 and maybe 4 or 5. We didn't have all of them on a VHS, but we cut together all the best parts from that movie and made a music video to the song Coma by Guns N' Roses. And that's a long song to try and get.
A good tune.
Teacher did not appreciate it, but that's all right. We had fun. And that was hard to do back in the day. You needed so many VHSs, if that's a real word, in order to splice it. Keep splicing! Anyway, a little bit of...
Now that I think about it, we're talking about it, like what petrified us as kids, like, like Leatherface, Skeletor, you afraid he was coming to get you. I obviously Jaws, the other things scared me. But if I had seen Godzilla walking through a city, I would have run to him.
It's me! Pick me up! Gazz wants uppies!
I want piggyback.
Yeah.
Oh,
JC, when you were talking about your older sisters or whatever letting you watch the horror movies. I had an older sister who had a party one time, and I think I was 7. And she said, if you don't tell mom and dad about the party, you can watch this movie. Would stay up late and watch this movie because she was babysitting us. And so the movie was Child's Play.
Nice.
And I also had a My Buddy doll at the time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I was like, why is this guy out in the hallway? I'm like, I don't want him anymore. Like, I'm done.
Get out of here.
Tied up on a chair, just staring at him the whole time.
Also, Billy at a party. It was awful.
That sort of thing, like say, with what makes scared you. Like say, obviously, I didn't know what it was, but we were in a toy shop when I was a bit younger, and my younger sister, she's obviously 5 years younger than me, and at the time they had a Teddy Ruxpin. Remember Teddy Ruxpin?
Oh yes.
They had a demo one in the shop, and he done it. So obviously, it started speaking, and my sister freaked out and ran out of the shop.
It's even worse when the batteries start running out.
And you're like, where's she going? And she just
doesn't it still work if you put like a different tape in it? Like if you put like a
you can put anything.
It plays, but the mouth doesn't work in sync unless it's a Teddy Ruxpin.
He's so funny.
Neither does Megadeth. When Zazel comes up with the topic of the show, you know he's going to talk about something different for 2 hours, and then eventually we'll land on the topic of the show.
That's why it's called Shoot the
Shit.
Yeah.
It's late here for me, guys. I can say shit at this hour. It's early for you, but not for me. I would say a good...
I was going to say,
Sorry,
thinking of horror and Space Saga combined, I can remember seeing our first ever family holiday abroad. We went to, I think it was Mallorca, and they would put on like a movie night every night. My parents would usually be in the bar, and I think I might have been 16 or something, and my younger brothers were all up in bed, and I went in to watch the movie, and I was the only person watching the movie that particular night. And so it was VHS in a small TV. The TV was mounted up on the wall, and it was Life Force.
Oh
yes.
That was my first, I suppose, kind of horror sci-fi sort of crossover. Even though Alien and I was out way before that, I didn't get to see Alien for till I was well into my teens.
When I was in high school, I got like really into sci-fi and started watching old stuff, and it was great. And then I went and saw a movie thinking it was going to be just a regular science fiction movie, and I went and saw Event Horizon.
Oh yeah.
Same problem, exactly that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is different. This is not what I thought.
There's a whole different poster for. I don't know if this is put your kids to bed, because here's a whole different picture for Life Force.
Life Force is an interesting movie. It's like two movies in one. You get this like sci-fi space vampire movie, and then you get this like Night of the Living Dead movie at the end.
Yeah.
And it all has Patrick Stewart in it going crazy. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched that movie, but I absolutely loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I don't know if I saw all of it or just parts of it, because I cannot, for the life of me, remember all of the movie.
Remember when DVD players were first out and DVDs were like slim pickings? You went there and you're like, they had a bunch of VHSs, but they had like 12 DVDs you could pick from, but you wanted to get a DVD from So they had a DVD that was like a 2-pack. So it was on one side of the disc was one movie, and the other side was another movie.
Okay.
And
Yes,
so
yeah.
It was like $12, so I bought it because I hadn't seen the movie at the point in time, and it was Life Force and then Night of the Comet.
Oh, Night of the Comet is a great film
nice.
too. Wow.
Does anyone remember what their first DVD purchase was?
Yep.
I know exactly.
DVD purchase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got. I think when I pre-ordered the PS2, and I did it. If you remember, Space Commander, the shop, Dixon's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a pre-order pack with the PS2, and my first 2 DVDs, because obviously it was a DVD player, that was a good thing. That was Gladiator and Men in Black.
That's funny.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
My
That's
first
a cool
two
2-pack.
DVDs. My first 2 DVDs were Gladiator and Life Force.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So I got for my birthday, I got a DVD player, and then I got money. And my parents were like, "We didn't know which DVDs to get you, so go buy." So they gave me, I think, $100 to go buy DVDs. So I was a big movie guy. So I came back with this. I think is a picture of the era, but I came back with the box set of Superman movies.
Nice. Perfect.
The original Mad Max, and
Yes.
and then also Fast and the Furious because it had just come out.
Awesome.
Well, you wasted your money on one of those movies, but otherwise good. Space Commander, which one were you holding up there? Star Trek?
Motion
picture.
Oh, nice.
The motion picture. Nice.
That's
Classic.
That's a good movie.
Classic.
I had this.
It is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's not only my favorite Star Trek film. It's one of my favorite films, just outright.
Wow.
And I know a lot of people, find it kind of slow paced, and there's the joke of it's the motionless picture and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the non-motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of like genuine sort of science fiction content, it's absolutely cram packed. I love this story, and I bought it on disc before I had a DVD player. Because I had so many videotapes, I still have them. I got hundreds, literally.
Yeah.
But they brought out because I was such a big fan of the film, I knew that there were lots of extra scenes that had been shot for it that weren't used, and like there were some effect sequences which were incomplete. They had to leave them out of the film, and they had released on DVD a version of the film with all the extras on it, so you could see all the additional material. So, of course, I rushed out to buy it. I didn't have anything to watch it on, so I used to have to go around my friend's house to watch it. The poor guy would be bored out of his mind while I was sat there riveted to his television. Just if I can bring us back onto the subject of Space Sagas.
Oh, sure. Do you not want to know what my VHS pick was before we move on?
Yeah, you go ahead.
My DVD?
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we can. Say hello to Blues real quick. How are you, buddy? And I love this story. Saw Event Horizon, my girlfriend, and some of her friends had taken some acid and ran out of the theater screaming. That's hilarious. Anyway, thank you for giving me an opportunity to tell you what my VHS and DVD was. Because my last VHS... Mate, this is late here, and I don't mind telling you to get fucked. The last VHS. This guy doesn't even know how to show up to streams. No, you know I love you. My last VHS that I ever bought was Captain America, and I bought it for like $1, and that was the original Captain America movie. Well, whichever one he had rubber ears.
92 one, right?
Was it
92 one?
89, right? The one with
No, 1949.
The one with
Not that one.
Who's the guy who played Superman?
Sorry?
No, it wasn't.
Not Chris Reeves.
The guy who played Otis.
Anyway.
Yeah. Otis
what,
and
BE,
J.D. Salinger's son. He's played Captain America.
Yeah, so that's the 1990 film.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, it was a 1990 film. Anyway, and the Italian Red Skull. So I got that one on VHS. That was my last one because I had a VHS DVD combo, and I was sold it because I was told that I could record DVDs onto VHS. Although when I tried it, it said, "Sorry, you can't do that." It's like, well, why did I buy it? Anyway, so I got that, and the first DVD I ever bought was Castaway. Glad we stuck around for that story. Anyway, so moving on.
getting back to like what Brian mentioned, the combination of Space Saga and horror. Do you remember that Robert Englund film, Galaxy of Terror?
Yeah. I do. And that was when I was like, this.
That was a bit of it was like your worst fear type thing, wasn't it? You actually had to experience your worst fear, like anyone who's claustrophobic, everything move in on them and sort of crush them, sort of thing, and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Obviously, given the role due to his Nightmare on Elm Street roots. Anyway, thanks for giving me that little tangent there, Space Commander. Go ahead and bring us back to space.
Sorry, yes, that's what I'm here for. All the space stuff. Sorry, sir.
Go. No. Go on.
Oh dear. I've completely lost my thread now. But yes,
it was Star Trek.
Star Trek is great.
So there's a couple of guys on this panel, including myself, who will remember a time when there was one Star Trek. There was none of these Johnny-come-latelys with prefixes or suffixes or any of that stuff. And having a Star Trek poster on your wall meant a poster of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and not J.D. Salinger's son here. And I want to keep positive. I don't want to like get into a rant about something, but I feel like the people who are making a so-called Star Trek nowadays, they've totally misunderstood that the very basis of what Star Trek even is. They've obviously got a political message they want to say. They've made a show, and then to snag an audience, they've just slapped the word Star Trek on it, and it's a total misunderstanding of everything that Star Trek is, and in particular, this here book, the novelization of the movie. The movie was written it was a story by Alan Dean Foster, and then Harold Livingstone, the screenwriter, he adapted it into a screenplay. And Gene Roddenberry, of course, is the original producer of Star Trek. He wrote the novelization. And in here, you really get a sense of what it was Gene was trying to say with Star Trek. The whole concept of an improved humanity that Space Commander, that was a really nice soft rant. I'm working on it.
A friendly rant.
But,
he's gone.
Thanks to Mrs. Space Commander, she helped me collect these. These are the darn this modern technology. Yeah. I can't do it. There we go.
There it is.
These are the box sets of the original series. Without all the CGI replacement effects. These ones have got the actual original model effects. Zazel and I were talking about that the other night. You know, I still prefer model effects over CGI.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
Gene Roddenberry's whole outlook for the future was that we should, we'll come to understand. Where does the galaxy come from? Where does the universe come from? These are the concepts we'll only understand when we become a more evolved creature. And he was all about, it's not going to happen in the next 100 years or so that we're going to figure all this stuff out. But as we progress into the future, what we should be doing and, what we should strive for is to become better people and, in our interactions with each other. And, that's on an individual level. It's on an international level. It's on an interplanetary level that we should all be striving to be the best we can be. And so life then becomes like a meritocracy. You can't just become the captain of the starship when you're a lowly ensign and you commit an act of mutiny, and then the rest of the crew goes, well, gee, Ensign Mickey, would make a better captain than the bomb we've got, so we'll push him out the airlock. No, you have to work hard and study, and everything you want in life, you have to work hard at to get it. You can't just expect to be handed everything. You know, it's all about an improvement of the self, an improvement of the species, and then taking that and moving out into the universe. That's what Star Trek is. And so I love that movie, and I love that original saga, the original series. And it's 4 years worth, in my opinion, because you have to get, I think in America at the time, you had to have over 100 episodes to qualify for syndication, I think. And they didn't have 100 episodes with the original series. They only had 78, 79. They then, again, Gene Roddenberry, the producer, he took his writing staff and the cast and went over to another studio who just so happened to be an animation studio, Filmation, who you'll know from Masters of the Universe. And they made the remaining episodes, so that there are 4 years worth of episodes. Wow. And that is, to me, that is the heart of Star Trek, and that's what it's all about. And if you want to go into it deeper and have a deeper understanding of it, then you need to get this here book.
Yeah. So two things to jump off what you're saying, Spacey. First off,
well said, by the way.
No, that was
very well said.
Just roll the credits right now, and we call.
Thank you.
But the little book you just held in your hand, those like novelizations and those like reprinting of like pulp novels are as nostalgic for me as like all the toys in the collection. And so when you're talking about Space Sagas, growing up, I loved and my aunt turned me on to them. And I picked up a couple yesterday when I was at a bookstore. Is the Edgar Rice Burroughs Mars Saga, like the John Carter Princess of Mars stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
nice.
These little yellowed page books, I think they were $2 each. That was what you read when you were growing up. And the novelizations, like the novelization of Star Trek, and the novelization of The Wrath of Khan, and the novelizations of Jaws, and you saw extra scenes, and you understood the world more when you're into it. So yeah, I love doing those stuff. But when you're talking about Star Trek, and Star Trek was one of those things that it was a hit, but it wasn't the hit that we know it of today. Like when it came out, like they were going to cancel after the first season, and there was a whole thing. And I think a lot of great sci-fi shows, or space epics, if you want to call them, maybe don't appeal to the mass audience. So great stuff doesn't get a second chance. So when I think about like one of my favorite all-time science fiction series is remember Earth 2?
It looks familiar, that actually, yeah.
So it had Tim Curry in it, and it had who's the Kurgan from Highlander?
I know his name.
Clancy
Brown in it, and it was about like Earth. You couldn't live anymore, so this like group of people went and found a new Earth, and then they were the aliens there, and it was incredible, great sci-fi. It was talked about like how people function as a society, and that like naturally there's roles that people need to do, and if you go on your own aside from society, it's all going to kind of fail. Yeah, that's it. Earth 2. And it only lasted one season, didn't have an audience, but it was incredible sci-fi. And I think sometimes, because it doesn't appeal to everybody, it's not just, following cookie cutter things. Sci-fi has always been about taking risks, right? Like it's always been, let's do something different. Let's tell a real story in a fantastic way. And that doesn't appeal to, every person, like, I don't know, Adam Sandler does. Right? And so I think
we'll just say a quick goodbye to Heroic Nonsense, who's going to see us in June. And a quick hello to JLS Comics.
Yeah. So
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Earth 2 was an example of like great sci-fi that just doesn't get a second look. It's a flash in the pan. And we could do a whole stream on like what are one season sci-fi shows that should have got a second season, and we could just endlessly rattle those off, right?
Firefly,
right?
Red Dwarf lovers in the crew tonight.
Oh yeah, Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Red Dwarf was actually the main picture for the thumbnail of this live stream, and I put in like the Enterprise and the Millennium Falcon and all that around Red Dwarf. So yes. And Jaws is here. How are you, buddy? Battlestar Galactica, of course.
Oh yeah, classic. Yeah. It was great up until the kids started flying on the bicycles.
Aha!
Point taken.
No. I have some stories here. I have some stories.
I
Okay.
actually heard a rumor that they may be redoing the series in the original
Okay.
tone. That's
Oh,
what I
Yeah.
I love that.
There's been a few attempts over the years to revive it. Richard Hatch, who plays, he died a little while ago, but he played Apollo. It was like the main character in the original 1978 series. He wrote some of the Maximum Press comics that came out in the 90s, and I have those. I love those stories. I remember when they first came out, I was a little put off by them because of I didn't understand at the time that likeness rights cost a lot of money. I didn't, I was a teenager. I didn't know about this stuff. So to get around making the comics so expensive for customers to buy, they instead jettisoned the likeness rights, the issue of likenesses, and went with their own kind of character designs, and that's how you end up with this crazy looking Starbuck.
Right.
Can I just iterate? That's what they say, but Rob Liefeld can't draw likenesses, so that's why.
Well said, Gaz. That's a cool looking figure, though. That's all right.
Cool.
If I'm-
Oh boy, it's a terrible Richard Hatch.
But yeah, Richard Hatch, he did his series of novels, and this was at a time where, nowadays, you got Amazon and things like that. I had to order these through a bookshop from the States, and again, it's the shipping costs because they were all hardbacks, and I was putting aside money from my meager pay packet at the time because I was still quite young to pay for those things. But I had to get more of it. I loved the story of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it was a good one. The original was good, yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to... Okay, so what happened was at the end of the first series, all right, I'll try not to go off on too much of a tangent here, but the story, it started off with Glenn Larson had this idea. It was going to be called Adam's Ark. And the idea was that it was going to be set, that it was going to start on Earth, and there was some terrible cataclysm. Everybody had to get off the planet, and this guy Adam had built this huge ship, and he got as many people aboard as he could, and they escaped from the dying Earth. And later in the 70s, when they came to sort of revisit the idea, he swapped it around a little bit. He said, no, what if they're on a giant ship and they're trying to find Earth? And the main character, instead of being Adam, was now Lorne Greene playing the character of Adama. So it's Adam with an A on the end. I know an Adam. Anyway, so they made this film, and that was used as the pilot for the TV series. And he said, when they said, yeah, we want you to go to series, he's like, great, give me a year to assemble the writing stuff, and we'll get some sets built. And they're like, no, we need episodes now. You need to start filming right now. And so he got stuck in this situation where he wasn't getting scripts done quickly enough. So he ended up having to, in a way, cheat. He was taking like the Towering Inferno. He would then turn it into Fire in Space. And it was like the Galactica was on inside. You had the Magnificent Seven. Well, now you had the Magnificent Warriors. What was it? What's the one? Guns of the Navarone. So then that became
that Snow Planet episode.
Yeah. So got a nice Planet Zero. So yeah, he kind of fell into this trap of like rehashing stories that had already been done. And then at the end of the first series, they were saying, well, look, because the stories haven't been up to it, the ratings have gone down, and the show is too expensive. So they cancelled it after 1 year. And in a way, it's interesting because Glenn Larson, he produced so many of the shows from my childhood that I really love, and I'll always be grateful to him for that. But he has kind of a reputation for coming up with shows where he has an excellent first year, and then when it comes to the second year, it absolutely bombs. And he did the 1970s version of Buck Rogers, and exactly that happened. The second year was just a completely different show. And so I have seen some of the scripts that he had planned for the second year of Battlestar Galactica. And to be honest, as much as I would love to see more Battlestar, some of these stories were fairly questionable too. Poor old Richard Hatch's character Apollo, one of the defining characteristics of him was that his wife gets killed very early on in the series.
Mm.
So later on in the first year, they introduce a new love interest for him. The first episode of the next series, she was going to be killed off. It's like, how much pain can you put this poor man through, you know? So anyway, there was such an outcry, you know, that we want more Battlestar Galactica, that the studio got talking to Glenn Larson about making a second season. Only it had to be that they now had a load of things in place where it had to be lower budget, it had to have XYZ, it had to have a certain educational content for kids and stuff. And so what happened was he came up with a show which was called, in the States it was called Galactica 1980. Now in the UK where I grew up, this wasn't shown as Galactica 1980. It was just shown as the next bunch of episodes. You know, you get to the end of the first year of the show, the following week we start up on the second year of the show, and it's still Battlestar Galactica. We didn't know it was called Galactica 1980. Now, as a little kid, I loved this show. It was set on Earth in what was then the present day. That way they didn't have to spend a lot of money on effects and costumes and sets and other planets. It was very cheap to make, and a lot of the cast didn't sign on to reappear, so they got a new cast in, and again that was cheaper as well. So they were saving lots of money by doing this, and they made this show. And as a little kid, I really loved it. I loved all the stuff about the flying motorbikes.
Oh yeah,
and the main characters. You had Kent McCord playing an adult version of Boxey. Kent McCord, you'll know from Farscape. He played the dad of the main character. You had Barry Van Dyke playing a new lieutenant character called Dylan. Robin Douglas was playing this Earth girl, Jamie, who helped them out. And to be honest, that those characters, particularly Dylan's like my favorite Battlestar Galactica character. But now watching it as an adult, I can see why all the older kids, the kids who were a little bit older than me, I can see why they hated it, because there are so many things that are flaws with it. And so I always feel like if they ever brought it back and it was based on that version of, the original version of the show, I think for my personal gratification, I would like them to do a continuation of the original story without Galactica 1980, but still include a version of Dylan and a version of Boxey and a version of Jamie. And with the Maximum Press comics, they actually did that. They had Boxey aged up. He was now an adult. But instead of being set on Earth in the 1980s, it was still set in the original timeline out in space. And I would like that if they did that with Dylan and Jamie as well. Hey, we got matching box sets, except his doesn't disappear when you hold it close to the camera. So with the comics, they did bring Boxey in as an adult. I would like them to do that with Dylan as well, and maybe have a version of Jamie where she's not from Earth. And that's true. They did. It was interesting. There was lots of things where they introduced an idea and then they dropped it for whatever reason. So the pilot episode, Galactica Discovers Earth, they re-edited that and released it as a film called Conquest of the Earth. But the editing was terrible. They just mashed a load of episodes together to make this movie, and the editing was really bad. But it did include a lot of alternate shots. So the film, one of those two films, I can't remember which is which, but one of those two films begins with Adama sitting at his desk, and he's talking about many of our sons and daughters didn't survive the journey across space, and he's actually got in front of him a picture of Apollo as he says this. So it's like, oh no, are they saying Apollo was killed? It's kind of heartbreaking from that point of view. But what they were going to do before Galactica 1980 got prematurely cancelled, or some would say deservedly so, because it was so different from the original series.
There's a few people in the chat that are happy that it was cancelled.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Like I say, as an adult, you can see everything that's wrong with it. You can say if they had done this differently, if they'd done that differently, it could have worked. But they brought back the Starbuck character in what became the final episode. It was supposed to be the first part of a new story. Starbuck, played by Dirk Benedict, who's by easily the most popular character from the original series. They reintroduced him to explain why he hadn't aged. They were going to say he was now one of the beings of light who were introduced in the original series. And eventually the plan was to bring back Richard Hatch as Apollo, also as a being of light. but the show got axed and it never happened. So then we had, during the 90s, we had all these like attempted revivals. Excuse me.
Quick, take a breath.
a producer called Tom DeSanto, he was going to do a big movie. Unfortunately, the director who was assigned to that movie turned out to be, he had some unsavory interests, shall we say, and so the project fell through. And instead what we got was the 2003-2004 series. And at first, I remember I was kind of upset that was set in a different continuity and bore very little resemblance to the original show, because the original show was a family film. With this new version, there was like lots of sex and violence and swearing in it, and I couldn't get into it. I tried. I gave it a chance. I watched it for the first few years, but I just couldn't get into it. It was just too different. And at the time, it actually put me off Battlestar for quite a few years, because of, at the time, this is like early internet. You know, my first journeying on the World Wide Web, and there was a Battlestar Galactica website where me and all these other old fans, we would sit around and like talk about our favorite episodes and talk about, you know, stories of production from the original series. And then one morning, there was like a few hundred of us on the sub count. So one day I go onto the website and the sub count is suddenly through the roof. There have been like thousands and thousands of people join in one night, and I was like, what the heck is this? What's going on? And I looked at my DMs, because we all had jokingly given each other ranks, and they had said that I was like the vice president of the fleet or something, and the joke there was that my character was Dylan, so why on earth would he be the vice president of anything, you know? So I opened up, and before you had DMs, you had PMs, private messages, and it was full of angry people yelling at me. How, you know, I messaged you 5 hours ago about the fact that there's no water on my ship. All my passengers and crew are dying, and it's been 5 hours and you've done nothing. And all these people and this is where I pieced it together. All these people messaging me with all this anger and vitriol were in America. And what happened was, that night it had been the premiere of the new version of the show in America. We'd already had it in the UK. This was like later. It previewed in the States the night before, and overnight, thousands of people who had watched that show joined our website, but they thought it was like based on that show. We only spoke to each other on that website in terms of our appreciation of it as fans. These guys had joined wanting it to be a role-playing website, and and because of the time zones, I wasn't receiving these messages until hours after, and I was trying to say to people, thank you very much for your message. However, I'm not involved in role playing. We're talking about the show, the way it was made and everything. And but it didn't slow down. I was getting messages every day. Hundreds of people saying, "Oh, you're ignoring my messages. I've got starving babies on my ship in the fleet, and all you people on the main ship, you're all ignoring us because you're all elites and we're just the bores of humanity." And oh my God, what the hell is? And it wouldn't let up. So in the end,
the truth was that Spacey was on the rising. Was it the Rising Star with all the rich people just drinking the champagne?
Yeah, but that's also those PMs are also where you met Mrs. Space Commander, right?
Mrs. Space Commander couldn't give a flying monkeys about Battlestar Galactica. So I quit the. I was just getting too much. I quit the website. I didn't go and to be honest, it spoiled my enjoyment of Battlestar Galactica for many years. For many years, I just didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. I was just sick of people yelling at me. And eventually what happened was I started, when YouTube came along and I started watching YouTube, and this channel kept coming up in my suggestions, Battlestar Galactica. And at first I was wary. I thought, is this guy going to be all into the modern series? We used to call the new series Battle Sex Rapetacular. And I was like, is this guy, is this to do with his show? Because I don't want to watch people being sexually assaulted. I don't want to see any of that stuff. For me, Battlestar Galactica is part of my childhood. I don't want to watch this if it's going to be stuff that's impinging on that. But the Battlestar Galactica kept coming up my suggestions. I started watching it, and I love this channel now because of he's not saying bad things about the remake series. He's saying that this is focused on classic Battlestar Galactica. And all his videos are about the old school show that we used to watch. And thank goodness I bumped into this channel because of it kind of reawakened my love of classic Battlestar Galactica, and I dug out the old books and the comics and the DVDs, the videotapes, yeah, and it really got me back into watching Battlestar Galactica again. And although he and I at first we disagreed about Galactica 1980, he did concede that if the show was to come back in some form or another, it would be cool to have a version of Boxy, Dylan, and Jamie in the show, but no reference to the 1980 series at all. Just have them be on the show as independent characters. And so if you're not watching it and you like classic Battlestar, check out Battlestar Galactica right here on YouTube. It's a great channel.
Yeah, I think.
Well, you sold me.
Yeah, I got to say, I mean, I got the 1980 series because obviously that was more for like nostalgia and the fact of that used to be on Saturday mornings when I was a kid. So obviously I watched the original series and obviously loved that, but then used to watch the other one because that was Battlestar Galactica in name, and that you just never had the interest in it what you did in the first one. But like you say, especially with the kids that jump into trees and things, but that sort of thing, obviously you're thinking, oh god, yeah, you lost interest. But I was obviously just remembering that time where you used to watch it on a Saturday morning as a kid, but that used to be on.
Gents, I'm going to have to rock on out of here.
All right.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking science fiction, horror, action force. It's been brilliant. And sorry that I have to bail out a bit early. But I'll catch the rest of this kind of after it's live. I'll catch it.
Shout out the book.
Thanks, Brian.
Come back anytime, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Guys, have a great day and enjoy the rest of the stream. All the best now. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll catch up soon. Bye.
Full force.
Spacey, I think.
So Todd's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Todd's in the chat. How are you, Todd? Hope you're feeling better. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, short series, fantastic space saga. And the movie was also okay, and the book's amazing.
Spacey, I think you hit a real nail on the head with your. It wasn't a rant; it was a dissertation on Battlestar Galactica. There, but that remake that came out in 2004, I think, was one of the first examples of remaking an old property in like this long form new style television storytelling, right? Because the way stories used to work on TV was that the episode had to finish the same way it started. Your characters couldn't evolve. So you could watch them in any order, and it just needed to be a contained story. And then when Battlestar came out, it became this long arc TV show, which is now the way we do everything, right? That's the way they do. And it's very rare that that's better, that like the remake is better than the original that we know and love. And so when you see something that you're like, oh, like there was rumors about a Logan's Run TV show coming out, and I was like, is that like, can't we just enjoy the old movie and just let it be what it's going to be? Now that being said, if somebody was like, hey, you've got to remake an old science fiction movie into a long form series, I think if they took the Enemy Mine movie and made that like a 12 episode long form, I think they could really, because that movie is so good, but some things were really fast, and I think you could really work on the relationship.
The time jumps are a little bit jarring.
Yes. So I think that could be a really cool long form modern television show.
Bring back Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
If they are gonna do Battlestar again, and they take the original premise, ragtag ship on the run, machine race, hunting them down, trying to kill them in every turn they make, and they're looking for a fabled world called Earth, right? In the in the remake series, and spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, they get to Earth, right? And Earth isn't us now. Earth is us in prehistoric times, right? We're still hunter-gatherers. I don't like that ending. Because they're looking for a planet that the 13th colony left, the fabled 13th colony left to inhabit, right? So their technology here, now we're just hunter-gatherers. It doesn't make sense to me, right? I also don't like, the original series, the last episode, where they hear us, right? But they don't hear us, right? But you hear us. And it's us in like the 60s, basically, right? 60s, 70s. It's like the moon landing stuff, right? I don't like that either, right? Because I don't want them to come here and it's us, like us, right?
No,
Because
so us,
we
specifically us?
No, well, I would
You
love
and
it.
me?
If it was, I think I would love it if it was specifically us, because I'd jump in a Viper and go take on the Silence, no problem.
Oh, of
But
course.
nonetheless, if it was, when I say us, like our society right now, right?
Everyone at
We
war
would-
fighting over money.
we wouldn't
Paying taxes.
we wouldn't stand a chance against the Cylon Empire, even with the Galactica's help. We would not stand a chance, right? First of all,
Love
we'd
that
be-
attitude.
well, yeah. Well, what I'm saying,
Freaking
we wouldn't-
Megaforce.
we wouldn't stand a chance with our technology against the Cylons at all, right? Maybe a little bit. We don't have space fighter jets. We still fly in our atmosphere.
That we know of.
Our best spacecraft was the space shuttle, and that's obsolete. We're going back to capsules. So we don't have spaceships. Okay. So yeah, exactly, Viper right there. What I would like to see.
Put a Viper in that Viper.
Yeah, what what I would like to see, if they're gonna do it, and if they do connect with Earth, that Earth is somewhat set in the future, a little bit in the future.
Buck
We're not-
Rogers.
like a Buck Rogers, like the Earth Defense Directive, but we're all like a united planet, like maybe like Star Trek in a way, right? We're not fighting anymore. We're about to venture off into space, and then we meet them, right? That would be cool. That's just my opinion. And a totally XL 80. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe keep the flying bikes as something in the Vipers. Maybe keep them in the characters, but no mention of the damn show. No mention. There was no collective of children running the show in the original show. So I don't need that in that doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, let's move on.
They should have had the classic series of Battlestar meet up with Buck Rogers, because Glenn Larson was producing that show as well.
Damn right, man. That would have been sweet.
If they had come to Earth and the Earth they found was that Earth, then it would have been a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Wasn't Buster
Or
Crab
Planet of the
in-
Apes.
Yeah, but wasn't Buster Crab in?
Yeah,
He was in
Planet of
the
the
Jack
Playground.
Palance episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then
Little
it
too
said
bad.
it said Colonel Rogers on his ship.
Yeah, it was, no, it was Gordon.
Gordon.
It was
Yeah, it was
Gordon,
Gordon.
yeah,
Right.
because of Buster Crab played in the
Flash
1930s.
Gordon
He
as well.
played Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Right.
So to bring him, that was when I was a kid. All right, I'm going to go off on a Flash Gordon rant now.
Do it.
All right, everyone get comfy. Go for it.
Damn this!
You gotta pull it.
modern
There you go.
technology.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
great
this
box set.
is the 1978, 79 Flash
Well, it's
Gordon
most of it.
series by by Filmation. So as a kid, this was the version of Flash Gordon that I saw as a little kid, and I still think it is the best interpretation of the 1930s comic strips brought to life with animation and following the story, so perfectly. It's to me that is the perfect version of Flash Gordon. But as a kid, I discovered that if you get up early, and put the TV on a black and white channel, there you go, at 6:30 in the morning, you can see all these other episodes that I previously didn't know exist, and that's where Buster Crab was playing. Buster Crab played Flash Gordon back in the 30s, and also played Buck Rogers. So to then bring him into the 1970s series of Buck Rogers, playing a character called Gordon, come on, that's Flash Gordon, right? So to have those characters to go up against, Jack Palance playing Khalil, this evil villain. That episode, or it was a TV movie, the Planet of the Slave Girls. That was my favorite version. That was my favorite story in that particular version of Buck Rogers, because it had the original Flash Gordon in it. But like I say, it was the 1980 movie, which we all know and love, with the soundtrack by Queen, and this series. That's what got me into Flash Gordon. It's interesting because apparently what happened was there was a pilot movie that had been produced by Filmation, which sets up the story perfectly. It's set up on Earth around the time of World War II, and Flash Gordon meets Dr. Zarkov, and they blast off and end up on planet Mongo. And Dino De Laurentiis was one of the producers who they shopped around this movie to, and he saw it and loved it so much. He then went on to produce the 1980 movie that we all know and love. But because of he was producing that as a movie, Filmation then couldn't release this animated movie that they had made. So when the series came along, it starts in media res. It's already in action. They're already on Mongo. They're already fighting against Ming's tyranny.
Yeah.
And it kind of drops you in. I mean, I love the show, but it kind of drops you into the middle of the story. And thank goodness that American kids back in 1982 had video cassette recorders, because of eventually when the sort of embargo on movies was up, they were then able to take the pilot movie that they had made, and they broadcast it on TV just once in 1982, and they called it Flash Gordon: The Greatest Adventure of All. And if not for some, the ingenuity of American kids with a videotape recorder recording that, I would never have seen it, because thank goodness there are people on the internet have got unlicensed DVDs where they have taken that old video of that one TV broadcast and they put it on DVD. And so thank goodness I have that animated movie now. And I always, I watched that as being the first.
Is that the one with the World War II beginning?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I have doesn't have that. It's just the series.
So ask around online. Someone will have it.
No, it's available on Tubi. I watched it on
right.
Tubi. Yeah.
So I always put that in my box series of the 1970s series, because to me that is the perfect introduction to Flash Gordon.
As much as I love this series, this animated series and the movie, the original serials are freaking fantastic. If you've never watched them, they are so good.
That's the thing.
So good.
The other kids thought I was crazy. I was watching like a black and white show. Black and white, that's for old people. But no, as far as I was concerned, I had unearthed these like lost episodes. To me, they were like lost episodes.
Yeah.
To me, it was just more Flash Gordon. I had the cartoon series, you had the movie, and then you had the black and white serials with Buster Crabbe. To me, it was more. It was more content. It's like the black and white version of Batman, and then they did Batman and Robin.
They did Captain America.
That's right. Dick Purcell. Was it Dick Purcell or Dick Powell? I always get those two guys mixed up.
Captain America wasn't a soldier. He was a district attorney, and he dressed up as Captain America to fight crime.
His name was Grant Gardner, I think was his name.
Yeah.
They say often that showing up is half of is 90% of the battle, and so I showed up today, but I do need to get going. We got an engagement.
Okay.
Which I'll let you guys know about. But it's been a blast hanging out with you, and you guys are excellent. Yeah. And we'll talk to you all soon, some in person.
All right.
These guys.
See you, buddy. Thanks for showing up eventually. All right, so I'll just read this comment out real quick. The New Adventures of Flash Gordon animated series was his introduction to the character. I believe that mine was Defenders of the Earth. I think that was my first introduction to Flash Gordon. There was such a stigma with black and white when color TV came out that they were recoloring, or actually coloring, not recoloring. Yeah, there it is. That worked. But they were, so they were colorizing old black and white movies because they thought that would make them more palatable to the new color world that we were living in. But I like a good old-fashioned black and white movie.
Yeah,
so what was it called again?
In the summer holidays, we used to always get a lot of them black and white series in the mornings, where you used to get like Flash Gordon, and you had what was the one, City Under the Sea or whatever it was, or something like that. You used to get all those sort of like series, black and white series would be on in the mornings for kids.
Right. Yeah. Spacey, what was it called again?
Sorry, what you have to make?
Lilith is asking, what was it called again?
Oh,
the black and white one.
The Greatest Adventure of All, wasn't it? Something.
The black and white ones. You have the Purple Death. There's a couple. I forget what the original one's called.
The original one originally. It was first called. It was just called
the original.
Yes, Flash Gordon.
Right. Then they re-released it several times, and at one point, they were like editing some of the episodes together to make these little standalone movies. So you had Rocket Ship. At one point, it was just called that, and it was
Flash
also called,
Conquers the Universe or something like that.
that was the third series. The second series was called Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars, and then the third series was Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe.
You know what? That's one of the things that I love about the Buck Rogers series, the Flash Gordon series, and even Commando Cody, is that like the alien, the invading parties are either coming from the moon, they're coming from like Venus, they're coming from like Saturn, and all this stuff. Like all the planets are like inhabited in this world. And now obviously we know you can't live on Saturn or Jupiter because it's a gas planet, right? And all those planets like that. But it's hilarious to see this stuff like Venus. Like there's like old radio shows. What is it? Tom Corbin, Space Cadet. There's another one, Space Patrol. There's a couple of them, right? And the whole universe, the whole world is just built in our solar system.
Yeah, I have a different version of Space Patrol, but I'll get to that in a bit. The animated movie that you're after was called Flash Gordon: The Greatest Adventure of All, and as I say, it was only broadcast once in 1982. And thank goodness some kids had the ingenuity to record it. It was only shown in the States, so I would not have seen it. And you can find it online where people have recorded it off the television.
Yeah, if anybody loves Flash Gordon, man, they have comic books out now. They're currently on number 8.
Yeah, there've been so many attempts over the years to revive it as a comic series.
Hang on, let me have a look at that, Spacey. Well, you got an actual picture up for a change.
Ooh.
Oh yes.
I find if I hold it near my face, it sort of works. If I move it towards the camera, it vanishes. But
it looks like Home Improvement.
That's actually good. That's a good image. I like that.
You know what? We haven't done a games night in a while. We should do another games night soon.
Here's that other series. You probably remember this Space as well. That's not obviously thingy, but obviously that's the.
Hang on a sec.
What you got there?
On the
Hang on.
Undersea Kingdom. Ah, yes.
That was used to be on the in the holidays for kids as well. That was like along the same sort of lines. That was originally black and white. Obviously, they've recolored it when they've re-released it now. I think they've colored it now. But obviously, originally a black and white series. That was obviously Atlantis, and they were trying to obviously a tyrant of some description. Try to take over Atlantis, then take over what they call the upper world or whatever that they used to call us. That sort of thing. That was on the same thing.
For anybody that's
speaking,
go ahead. Go ahead. I was just listening.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, they've a lot of the early comic strips were serialized into these little novels, but also, as Lilith mentions, there was a 1970s series of novels as well of Flash Gordon. Whee! The Citadel series.
I thought there was Silver Surfer.
So, I was going to say, for anybody that really wants to see any of these old serials from like the 40s and the 50s, even the 30s, there's a channel on YouTube called Atomic Age Pictures, and they put them all together to present them the way they should be, and it's well done, and they clean it up a little bit like that. But they have a lot of stuff on. They just released one called Secret Agent X9. This Friday. I think they do 1 or 2 a month. And they released. It's a good channel to check out, especially if you want to see a lot of these old serials, these cliffhangers. They're freaking great.
They don't make them like they used to.
There was a black and white series that we missed out on for a long time. I was watching back in those early childhood days. I was watching like Fireball XL5, which was made by Jerry Anderson, who went on to make Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet. But a couple of the people he worked with, Arthur Provis and specifically Roberta Lee, they had back in the 60s, I think it was 1962, they had a show called Space Patrol, which in the States they released under the name Planet Patrol because the States already had a Space Patrol. But for many years, these Space Patrol episodes were lost. This there was no thought given back in those days to preserving series. So a lot of the early episodes of the Avengers, a lot of those early episodes just got chucked. The early episodes of Doctor Who just got chucked.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Right. So Space Patrol, the whole series was thought to have been lost. So when I was a kid growing up, I'd never heard of it. I certainly hadn't seen it. It was shown once in 1962, and then it was gone. But it turns out that Roberta Lee, she had, I think it was a set of negatives or into positives or something that she had just chucked in her garage. Some like film historians were going through her stuff and found these tapes, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is Space Patrol. These are the lost episodes," and they took them off and got them cleaned up. And there's like a YouTube video about the whole rigmarole they had to go through. They had so-called experts who were helping them clean up the footage and actually making it worse. And but eventually, they did a full upscale of it and released it on Blu-ray. I'll put it in my. I'll try and. If I do this real slow, it won't work. It's not gonna damn well work, is it? My goodness.
Hang on.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Anderson Entertainment, even though it wasn't made by Jerry Anderson, Anderson Entertainment have been kind enough to make that available on their website. So you can get it on Blu-ray now. But also Talking Pictures TV here in the UK, they have been broadcasting these episodes as well. So this show did not exist and was thought lost all throughout my childhood. And it's only in like the last couple of years that I even knew it existed. But I've been really getting into it. It's surprising because although it's like, oh, it's a puppet show, it's meant for kids, blah, 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 blah. But there is such a compelling internal logic to the stories. It has its own like interconnectivity. So even though the stories are, like Adam was saying, they're one and done. There's a beginning of the story, the middle, and then the end. They still have a consistency. That's what I like, this consistency to them.
Right.
But if something worked in this episode, they can use that same process and it'll work again in another episode. If they're visiting this planet, they'll meet these people. If they visit that planet, they'll meet someone else. And so you start to see the like plot lines coming up where you think, oh, wait a minute. And like Gazz was saying, you know, they visited Saturn in an episode, or they visited Jupiter.
Whoop.
So they do have them on YouTube. Somebody put them on there. 46
That's
episodes.
right, and they've colorized them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hang on, just a quick shout out. Hang on. Quick shout out to James. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Shout out to James saying that Red Dwarf is one of the best TV shows. We don't disagree with you. I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely one of. And Scotty's here, but Scotty doesn't know.
You can also catch
Anyways,
the American version of Space Patrol.
Oh, hello. Hang on. Let me have a better look at that.
Looks like they have costumes from Forbidden Planet. Right? Looks a little.
That's a handsome man.
Except
a leading man.
The dark patch on his breast there.
Yeah, they're reusing the uniform, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, Space Patrol or Planet Patrol, as it was called in the States, I recommend it. It's got such great characters. The main character, Captain Dart, looks looks like my dad did back in the 80s. So that's kind of a weird trick for me. It actually predates Star Trek, but there's a character, one of the recurring characters is this character called Husky, and he comes from Mars, and he's like, if you can imagine like a 1960s Klingon, but friendly. You know, he's this great big guy. He's bigger than the other characters. He talks about eating food all the time. You've got this little skinny guy with green skin called Slim. He's from Venus. You know, so yeah, I recommend the show. I think it's great for kids, but even if you're nearly 50, watch it. It's got the stories are really charming. There's a couple of clunker episodes in there. When you've got 39 episodes, there's going to be one or two dodgy ones. But for the most part, you know, it's where they're visiting Mars. Oh, and if we'll see Professor Zephyr, because that's the character they met previously. Yep, he's there. And like I said, there's a consistency to it that I really enjoy. You know, they communicate over this thing called sonar beam. And you might think, well, sonar doesn't work in space. Well, no, that's why this is sonar beam. They have to beam it to the person they're talking to, you know. There's all this just, a clever way of making it all work.
Well, I
quite
definitely
enough.
appreciate your passion for it, Spacey. You definitely convinced me to go and look at some of this stuff. Same with Lilith and Gazz as well. Inspiring Lilith to go and check out some of this stuff. Speaking of black and white, this is Western related, not space related, but we'll get to space westerns, I guess. But John Wayne movies, you can watch a lot of John Wayne movies under different names that were black and white. It's the same movie, but they're different names on them and colorized differently because they fall into the what is it where you can use something
Public
fair
domain?
use or public domain. Thank you. I knew you'd know. So because they fall into public domain, they can call it whatever they want. They can do whatever they want with it. No one's going to stop you. So I remember watching one John Wayne movie and going, oh, this is really good. And then I was like, I went down a rabbit hole of John Wayne movies, like the old Poverty Road ones where they were cheap to make and made a lot of. And I was like, oh, I'll keep watching a bunch of these. And then partway through watching another one, I was like, I swear I've seen this one, but it was called something else. And he was wearing a yellow shirt instead of a red one. What's happening? But yeah, I figured it out. Speaking of, did you know Movie Day of Daleks? I don't know what that is.
Do you know Movie Day of the Daleks? The only Dalek movies I watch, or that I know of,
Is that the Peter Cushing movies?
The ones with Peter Cushing, in which
Oh,
Peter
yeah.
Cushing plays a man he's an inventor from London. He's a human being. His name is Doctor Who, and he's an inventor. He invents the TARDIS with the help of his 2 granddaughters and his niece. And there's no. I've got to try not to go on around here because of you've got classic Doctor Who on television, and then you've got activist Doctor Who, which is what we're getting now, and the Peter Cushing movies. Whereas activist Doctor Who has retroactively gone back and ruined the legacy and the continuity of the original Roon'd, the original continuity. Those 2 movies, starring Peter Cushing as the human Doctor Who, fighting the Daleks. It's Doctor Who and the Daleks and Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. Those 2 movies are their own separate continuity, which has not been retroactively ruined by activist television.
Okay.
So I love those 2 movies. And the series, I'll just cast that off.
Where does the song fit in for you, though, Spacey? The Time Lord song, the Daleks, you know the one.
Doctor in the TARDIS.
Yeah. Where does that fit in? Is that on your playlist?
It is not.
I
like it. It is on mine, but it's like the Pertwee version that I have on my playlist.
Which version?
The 3rd Doctor.
Oh, Pertwee.
John Pertwee.
There was this kind of as much as I loved the 1980s and I remember it fondly, there are some things about it that I'm not too keen on. And there was
Pertwee was the early 70s though.
Well, but what I'm getting at is that there was a record released in the 1980s, Doctor in the TARDIS, and it was a terrible. There was a fad, especially in the UK, of putting out these I forget what they called them. They're like novelty records. You know, where they were
there was.
So like what was it, the Birdie song? The Birdie song, how was that a hit? It's terrible, but people were buying it because it was a novelty, you know. So you'd have this terrible, and there was like all these comedians putting out these awful records that would become massive massive hits, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And one of them was Doctor in the TARDIS, which was like this kind of comedy pop version of Doctor Who.
I don't think I've ever heard of
I'm talking about this one, the Time Lords KLF one. You know, it's like Doctor Who, and then it's hey, you know that one.
No,
which was a take on another. What do you mean no?
No.
What do you mean?
There should be no vocalization in your Doctor Who song. We don't go Doctor Who, hey, like you're at a football game. No,
we do.
It's just a simple sci-fi weirdy song sound that you hear in the 60s and the 70s. None of this BS freaking synthesizer crap they did in the 80s. Not when they try to jazz it up with the freaking 11th Doctor. None of that shit. No, it's got to be.
Yeah, but
it's
this
gotta
wasn't.
be straight
This
out
was
Doctor
a.
Who song.
Yeah, but
I'm
this
sorry,
this
I'm
song was
sorry.
obviously. You don't. It's fine, but this wasn't supposed to be part of the lore of Doctor Who. It's just a funny song.
No funny
I
song.
thought it was
It's
great.
serious. Doctor Who is serious. He's saving our ass every fucking day. Every fucking day. From Daleks, from fucking Cybermen, from fucking weird ass freaking star-shaped creatures that morph into other shit. I'm sorry, I'm going on
I like.
now.
I like breakfast.
Right?
I like Breakfast Gazz. Breakfast Gazz is brutally honest.
I don't want to see no BS in my. I don't care if you update the character. I don't care if you want to put modern problems in there. It's fine because it's a reflection of our time. They did it back then. They can do it now. That's all fine and dandy. I don't care, but don't mess with my fucking song. Don't mess with my fucking song. And I just want to know. I just want to know one thing, man. When is he gonna start using his Venetian what is it, Aikido? I want to see shit back again. Where the hell's Bet? What was it? What's the name? Betsy? Where the hell's the car? Where's the flying car? Where's all that crap?
If that'd be like if he used Venusian Aikido, that would be cultural appropriation from the planet Venus. And we can't have things
Nobody
like that.
lives on fucking Venus.
We can't have these
You
things.
can't live on Venus.
Are
They
you
sent a
denying?
fucking ship there and it crushed?
Are you denying their right to identify as a Venusian?
Yes, I am, because there's nobody living there.
We can't have that in our modern
Damn it.
TV. So
Damn it. Damn it! I just want to see Doctor Who.
What is
kicking the crap out
happening?
of guys. That's all I want to see. That's why he's my favorite Doctor. It's like there's a scene. I forget which one it is. I want to say it's the Green Death. I'm not sure. He walks into a parking lot. He's wearing his like ruffled tuxedo. Pulls up in his yellow car. His Jam walked in there. All of a sudden, security guards surround him and they're like, "You're coming with us." He's like, "Haha, no!" Kicks the crap out of him and keeps going. I'm like, "That's Doctor Who right there, right there."
So although I was giving voice to the modern version of the show, I'm joking. I'm actually with Gaz on this. That's Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, not this weird activist stuff they're doing now. But because they have tried to go back and have purposefully tried to monkey with the continuity of the classic series. So that's why that's why the Peter Cushing Doctor Who is my Doctor Who, because he's in his own little bubble of 2 films, and nothing they can say or do can detract from that. Its own continuity.
I try to watch this new Doctor Who. I let it pile up.
I haven't even.
I let it pile up and then I let it pile up and then I go back and I watch it so I can kind of binge them, right? When I'm like doing something, I can binge them. I'm not too crazy. I don't hate it, but I'm not too crazy about it. And that's why they built themselves a safety net. If you don't know this, right? They built themselves a safety net because for some, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I guess it makes sense because it's Doctor Who, right? Because they, half the time it's like, what the fuck's going on? I don't understand what's happening, right? So they split the Doctor into 2 people. So you have this new Doctor, and then you have the original Doctor, who's David Tennant, the 10th Doctor.
What?
Yeah, they split him in 2. This new Doctor is a new version of the Doctor. They split in 2. They literally stepped out of each other. I was like, what?
Well, that is so they could use the phrase "by generation." There's a certain group of society that are trying to introduce children at a very young age to the idea of sexuality, and they call this the bi generation. So they did that in the TV show so they could use the phrase bi generation in this kids show, and if you don't like it, you're a homophobic bigot, apparently. Well, no, I just don't think that kids should be sexualized, that's all. So
what I'm trying to say is right,
that's why they did that.
You know what we need?
Eventually,
what we need is a song that will pull everyone together, that we can all chant Doctor Who. Hey! And that'll bring
No. I put my foot down. Damn no. Just give me the original.
I thought I had you for a second.
Shut up.
I thought I had you for a minute.
I think this should lead on to a new series of yours, Hazel, called Spacey and Gazz. Instead of just shoot the shit, they just go on a rant. See, that could be a series.
Gazz and Spacey, Roon'd rants.
with Spacey and Gazz.
I'm trying not
Roon'd-
to. I'm trying not to rant because I don't want to be like a negative person. So what I'm talking about is the stuff that I love, which is the Peter Cushing movies. And you know, I'm just glancing off the stuff that I don't like. That I think that, you know, it's just my personal opinion that little children shouldn't be sexualized. That's all.
Yeah,
But
No, fair enough.
But you know, but what do I love about Doctor Who? The Peter Cushing movies. I love those movies. In fact, over Christmas, I watched those movies instead of watching the Christmas episode of Doctor Who.
I think Doctor Who started kind of going downhill after Tennant left. I think that Smith era, it started kind of going started tanking for me anyway. The stories got
I
too
haven't
gritty.
watched any of the newer stuff. I got to be fair. I haven't shown any interest in the original and the new stuff.
The story started kind of getting too grand. Like they're too grand. Like every story is like humongous. Where like in the old Who, he would just stumble into issues, right? Because he's out of control. He couldn't control where the TARDIS landed at the time.
I can tell you the exact moment I checked out of modern Doctor Who. I think it was the second episode with Christopher Ecclestone, where they the characters. Doctor Who was discussing characters breaking wind, and I thought, I just can't picture William Hartnell talking about this subject. It was they had these creatures that were big and bloated, and they were hiding in human forms. They had to squeeze their bloated bodies.
Yeah.
And at this point, I just thought Pat Troughton would not have discussed breaking wind.
Yeah,
you know, John Pertwee would not have. You know, if it was in a comedy. If it was in a comedy, John Pertwee might discuss it, but no, this is Doctor Who. It's serious, and they're discussing breaking wind. And at that point, I realized that the modern series was not the series I grew up with, and
so
it's that like, sorry, it's that 2000s like, we gotta put humor into everything, right? You know what I mean? There's got to be like witty banter between people. Like you don't need that in everything.
I thought some of the original Doctor Who had some humor to it, but they weren't trying to be a comedy. But it had like some natural humor to it that, you know, kept those scary moments scary, but then gave you a bit of light humor afterwards to sort of like bring me out from behind the couch. It's like, okay, things are going to be okay.
Right.
Yeah. So things have to evolve to find new audiences, but they have to do it well. Yeah, and I don't think they are doing it well. The legacy characters from our youth aren't being handled well.
That's the thing.
Well,
if you enjoyed, if there was something about the old school series that you didn't like, that was fine. The producers of that show would not then call you a bigot, or a Yahtzee, or a ist. You know, they wouldn't call you names, or they wouldn't do an episode. Back in those days, they would not do an episode where the villain of the week was a spoof of the fan, of their audience. You know,
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Try and keep calm and stay positive, you know, and talk about the stuff that I do, you know. But yeah, I checked out. I checked out during Eccleston.
I mean, like there was like I didn't have a problem when they decided to make the character female. I didn't have a problem with that. That's cool. It's just science fiction and whatnot. But when they decided, what killed me about that series was they decided not to go and use any of the Doctor Who like villain characters. Like you weren't going to see the Cybermen, you weren't going to see the Daleks, and that whole series. They didn't want to use any of the older characters.
The cyber what?
The Cybermen.
Men? Are you assuming their gender, you bigot? Cancel, Gazz.
Well, anyways, when they said they weren't going to use any of those characters, any of those villain characters, like same old storylines, I'm like, this isn't going to work because this series is going to stink, and it did. It was terrible. I mean, there were some cool things in it, but in the long run, it was bad. And what did they do? Yeah. They wrote in the Master to save the series at the end.
I think collectively, Doctor Who fans around the world, when they're watching this stuff and they see the stuff that takes away from their classic love for this franchise, they should all collectively get together and just go, "Hey!" to their Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, that's another thing about Doctor Who, is that it appeals to a wide range of people. It's a science fiction show that can appeal to our kids. So, I mean, I don't like it. Spacey doesn't like it, but somebody else likes it. So I can't say I just don't agree with the direction they're going with. You know, I can't tell you. I watched, I think, like half of the season. I saw like the previous season of the new Doctor. I can't tell you an episode that I really remember, because none of it stands out.
Something that confuses me, right, is that they have a built-in audience that they already have that are guaranteed, right? There can't be that many people out there that they're going to go, let's get rid of our classic audience and just completely shit all over them to bring in maybe a new group of fans. Why change? Why not just create a new show for the new audience and say...
You have writers. It happens in comic books all the time. Like, you have a writer come in, he or she wants to change it the way they envision the characters going. That's what happens.
It's like I said earlier with Star Trek, is that the supposed Star Trek, which is being produced now, they've got a message that they want to say, which has nothing to do with and reflects nothing, and is not related at all to what Star Trek actually is. But they want to tell their story. So they'll slap the name Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who on it to attract that audience. And then when that audience shows up and goes, well, this isn't Star Wars, this isn't Star Trek, this isn't Doctor Who, then they go, oh, you're not listening to my activist message? Oh, then you must be some kind of homophobic Nazi.
Well, I tell you this, though, with modern Star Trek, I'm not a big fan of the Triangle Ship show. I forget the name of it. I'm not a fan of that one. I know that that's the blueprint of the Enterprise. That's what it originally was going to look like. But I'm not a fan of that show. But I am a fan of the other show that they have out called Strange New Worlds. That, I think, catches the magic of the first show and some of the Next Generation, and doesn't mess around with it too much. And I mean, obviously modernizing the equipment, because that's what you're going to do, because you want to make it look cool. But I like that show. I mean, granted, in the series itself, there are some shows that I'm not too fond of. But I mean, character development, all that stuff, it's pre the original Star Trek. So it's interesting to see these characters.
Whenever
a young Spock.
Whenever you have a vast amount of episodes, there are going to be a few clangers here and there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like like I said, the pressure Glenn Larson was under to come up with. He wanted another year to develop the show, and they were like, "No, make it now." So you're going to have rough episodes here and there. But when you're consistently producing a product which is not what it claims to be, and it's simply there to convey your message that you selfishly believe everyone must abide by, and you slap a name on it to attract that audience. And when the audience shows up and say, well, this is not what it's advertising, this is not the show that we're after, and to then attack the audience, attack the fans, that's unforgivable.
What was the name of that show? Hold on. What is that? Star Trek. I forget the name of it.
Star Trek Triangles.
It's the name of the ship. It's the name of the ship.
The Discovery show.
Yeah, Discovery.
So like the Star Trek. It's science fiction. So what you're getting is a balance of science and a balance of fiction. And some episodes are going to be more sci-fi heavy or more scientifically heavy. Some episodes are going to be more fictional heavy, more fantasy.
Yeah.
But with Star Trek, they always tried to get the science right.
Yeah.
And yet, in the very first episode of Discovery, the characters are in a desert. There's a sandstorm. The ship apparently can't scan through the sandstorm to find the people down on the surface. So the people down on the surface decide to walk in the shape of the Starfleet logo, so that the characters from space will be able to look out the windows and look down and say, "Oh, there's a Starfleet. There's a Starfleet logo down there."
How are you going to see that?
Exactly. Exactly. And at that
Well,
point,
I mean, in defense of the show, it is again that show takes place before Kirk's saga, right? It takes place before that, so their technology isn't like we would expect it to be like next gen or something like that, because it's a newer series. But and in its defense like that, but nonetheless, why would they walk in the shape of a giant? That doesn't make sense to me, especially if it's a sandstorm, right?
no, and as I mentioned earlier, they use sonar in space. Sonar is sound. That's where the word comes from.
Yeah.
How there is no sound in space. At least in 1962, a kids show using puppets. They had the wisdom to know, if you're going to use sonar, you've got to come up with some sci-fi way of making it work. So they called it sonar.
The classic thing is in space, no one can hear you scream.
Exactly, Alien.
It's
Exactly.
a classic Alien tagline.
When we watch all these space shows nowadays, it's like you hear this.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I can handle that.
Right.
Like otherwise,
I'm gonna have to love and leave you, gentlemen. My boy is calling
Thanks,
me. And
Steve.
he's basically saying he's hungry, and I've got to feed him, I guess.
all right. Well, have a great birthday tomorrow, Tej.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll be working, but yeah, I'll be as best a day as I can do, I suppose. But we will definitely have to do this again. We'll have to have a catch up again. It's been too long.
Definitely.
All right.
Always
Next
a pleasure,
game's not. Thanks, Tej.
I think
Always
STS
pleasure,
is going to
guys.
go Saturday mornings from now on.
Toodles.
See you later, guys.
Yeah, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Bye, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll be a morning show from now on. Let Gazz really fly.
2.5 hours. I think I've been quite calm for 2.5 hours. I've not gone on a massive rant.
Only towards the end here.
Was it a Netflix show?
My Space Saga was going to be. I was going to blow everybody out of the water with this. It's not even a movie, not even a TV show.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a video game. It's Mass Effect. That's my Space Saga that I love. Because what it does is we're futuristic. It's sort of like the Federation. Sort of like.
Yeah.
We don't have laser guns. We have weapons that still fire projectiles, but they're just slabs of like pieces of metal that the gun just takes and shoots out in high velocity. And we just meet other alien races. Like we're thrown into this galactic society, and then all of a sudden we're gonna get wiped out by this sentient robot race. Essentially.
So I don't know if you noticed on the thumbnail of the stream when I sent it to you, but the Normandy is in the bottom corner, and the pilot played by Seth Green, which
Joker.
Yes, Joker. So I loved Mass Effect, right? Absolutely loved it. I created my own Shepard character so that it was personalized for me. Didn't use the standard one, customized it. I didn't realize, because I'll say this, I liked Mass Effect, but I loved Mass Effect 2. And I loved Mass Effect 2 because I didn't realize how much effort went into creating a world that had repercussions. What happened, if you played it right, what happened in 1 affected 2. And so I appreciated 1 more after playing 2. I was like, oh man, I remember doing that. And you realize it partway through 1, but it really hits hard in 2. But what starts to happen is you start to really think about what actions and choices you're going to make. And sometimes you're going to make heat of the moment choices. But for the most part, it's like, okay, this is going to affect the trajectory of this game. What choices I make, and I'd never really felt that before in a game.
Especially when 3 came around, and you realize that like all your choices of certain choices that you made affects your galactic readiness in the final battle. And you're like, oh, fuck. I shouldn't have wasted the queen.
Right. I shouldn't have slept with Jack. Oh, no.
So is that game
It
available
was-
on the Commodore or the Atari 2600?
I believe no, unfortunately, no. I
Oh,
haven't reverse technology that yet.
No wonder I'm not
Space,
familiar.
you need
sorry.
to play because I would love to see a Space Commander Shepard.
I think one of the funniest moments in the game for me is like you do like a commercial, and you see your hologram avatar of Shepard reading out that commercial in some of the spaceports.
Oh yeah, the hologram.
The hologram of you is
Look at-
so
oh,
good.
There's so many good, and the cool thing about it is it's relatable, right? It's relatable. Like you can see aspects of our society in this, even in the alien cultures, which is hilarious. And that's another thing I love about Battlestar Galactica, is that when you watch them interact with each other, it's like yeah, all right, there's aspects of our culture in there. Oh, they should be, because that's where supposedly we're from, right? So it's relatable, and that's why like for Star Wars, it's great, but you see some of that aspect, but it's like not as relatable as these things to me anyway.
Right.
You know, yeah, you have your like dens and stuff like that have like these it'll refute people and whiskey drinking, but it's not like you would see here, right? Like you would see here, Battlestar. It's just like if you took like what you see down at the local bar happens in the friggin' ready room where they're playing poker and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if my
Plus
argument makes sense, but
the exploration of Mass Effect, it's not just, you don't just explore the planets, you don't just explore the cities, but you can explore within your own ship, and you can which I think really creates an open world feel, and you know, the outfits are customizable, the appearances are customizable, the whole story is customizable. A lot of people, including myself, were disappointed by the end of Mass Effect 3. I understood the ending, I understood where they went, but it took away what was great about the game, and that is the choice, the power of choice. It only gave you the illusion of choice by the end, and I think that was unfortunate.
well, I have a different opinion on that. I think, again, spoilers. Right?
Okay.
I mean, he makes the ultimate sacrifice, he or she, depending on who your main character
Right.
is, makes the ultimate sacrifice in order to save life completely.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
I think that's the hero's choice. It doesn't matter the hero or not. But I mean, like,
Right.
again, with the game, if you had played the game a certain way, your character could survive at the end if you made a
Right. There was that little bit of hope at the end there.
Yeah.
But
But I remember, because when I played the first game, I was so into it. I went into like reading like interviews with the writers and at BioWare and stuff like that, and they were playing from the get-go that this was going to be the get-go.
Yeah, from the get-go. Yeah, from that lizard onwards.
From that damn lizard. Anyway, that it was going to be just a trilogy, the Shepard trilogy, and when they were done with the Shepard trilogy, they were going to move on to a new story within the same universe. So I was already in that mindset, and I believe you let the writer tell the story, let them tell their story. And when I heard the backlash, I was like, it's their story, right? Most people are complaining about like, we're never going to get another Mass Effect with Shepard, because they wanted that version of like Master Chief in this universe.
Right.
When they're forgetting that character that you're talking about, it's you, because you made all the choices. It's your character. So if they came out with a new game, it's going to be the same. It would have been the same premise. You're creating a new character. You know, It's going to be you nonetheless. I mean, like, I don't know if you played Andromeda. It wasn't a success. But again,
I tried.
I couldn't
get into it.
It was your character. You could customize the way the character looked, and acting choices they made. So it was you. Again, it was you. So it's a continuation. So when I hear people complaining about it, I was like, well, it's you. You're not dead. You're going to continue playing this game. Just Shepard died. But is he dead because he was a clone? Was he really a clone?
Well, yeah, he died at the beginning of 2.
Yeah, but are we actually sure that he wasn't a clone of Shepard with just all these parts in them?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Right? We have, the only word we have on it is that the elusive man said that he has to be the original. That's the only clue that we have. Like he went through an atmosphere, burned up in the atmosphere. There would be nothing left of him, right? Nothing.
Exactly. But that did create a very, very dynamic opening for part 2.
Oh my god!
You can't please. I was stunned. I thought, oh shit! What did I? Who am I going to be now? It's like everything I just did was for nothing.
I was like, what?
Which is why the fake out sort of, if you have a fake out death and then a real death, it loses its impact because we already know that you could come back. And Spoonkiller is saying you can't please everyone. No, you can't. Yeah. However, but here's the thing that I disliked about the game. Like I said, I wasn't like a hater of it. I liked the game. I liked that it was like, okay, I can put this down. That the universe is complete. The thing that got me and got a lot of people was that it was built on choice. It was built on choice from the very get-go. Every choice you made had an impact. But by the end of it, it was no longer a choice that you were making. You were just now going along with it. And I guess you could argue that sometimes things happen out of your control, and there are things that are going to happen whether you like it or not. And I guess that's the ending of Mass Effect 3. Things are going to happen eventually to all of us, where it doesn't matter what choice you make, the end result is going to be the end result. But for me, I was like, even if there were just something to make it seem like there was, and I know that you mentioned the possible, if you depending on how you played it, the possible little tease at the end. But I'd invested so much time with this character, and I'd wrestled with the choices that I'd made. Like I'd put serious effort and thought into what I was going to do after flippantly playing the first one, not really understanding all my impact, to then find out that there's no impact now. It's just whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there was that disappointing aspect where like you weren't going to be able to continue in this universe that you just saved, right? Especially when they did Andromeda, because they went back to the end of 1, and that's when that game leaves the Milky Way and goes to Andromeda. So they take that 600-year trip to Andromeda, and now they're in a new galaxy, and we don't know what happens.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But even having, I really miss that game. Even having the option to lose would have been an interesting ending. We've lost Spacey though. He's got no idea what we're talking about.
I was just thinking when you were talking about the character dying or whatever, I was thinking, well, don't you just press eject on the cassette player, turn the tape over, and carry on playing?
Well, here's the choice at the end of the game, right? So you had the original game. You only had 2 choices. Either one, you could destroy all like AI life. So you destroy the main bad guys is basically an AI called the Reapers, right? So it's this massive force of like space squids. Technically, that's what they look like because they're giant squid robot ships, right? And their whole purpose is to allow the life cycle to hit a certain point, and then they would harvest all life and they would build a new one, and then they would start. Then a new cycle would start with the less dominant races becoming the more dominant ones, and then the cycle would continue. But that's the premise of what's going on in Mass Effect. But in this cycle, you have a hero, Shepard, right? And obviously, like let's say it's totally customizable. You can go as a man or a woman. You can play either or. Choices that you make in the first game affect the second game, affect the third game until you come to the end game, right? And so the two final choices, you can destroy AI life, or you could what was the other one? You destroy it, and then I forget the other one was.
So it was like.
Oh no! Okay, so you destroy. I remember. You destroy AI life, and if you chose that one, if your galactic readiness hit a certain point, you could survive. Your character would survive. Like at the end, the last scene you see is rubble, and then you see him go like that, right? So he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
The other choice was to become one with this AI being, and then you would connect. You would connect with everything? No.
I'm gonna.
No, the choice was to save AI life. You would stop them from harvesting the life. But you would have to stay there. You couldn't leave that area. So you couldn't continue.
It was either shut them all down or let them live. Right?
Let them live, but
It
they
was
would be connected. They'd be connected, and you would be forever in that spot. You would never be able to leave. So basically, it'd be like dying. And then they introduced the third. They introduced the third choice, and the third choice was that there's a beam of light, right? Obviously. And you jump into the light, so you become part of the energy, and your life essence, because you're so heroic, would tie everything together. AI life and life would become one. Everything would be connected, so that you would be, you'd be able to, culture would just advance completely. But what happens is in that choice, it destroys the main hub, which is the Citadel, right? It destroys that, and it destroys all the warp stations. I forget what they're called. The hub stations where you're able to shoot across the galaxy in. I forget what they call.
Mm-hmm.
It destroys all that. It destroys everything. So everybody that was on the Citadel, which was like the main hub, it was like 5 or 6 megacities, like from Judge Dredd. They are megacities. All those people would be dead, right? We'd be dead. All of them would be dead. So you're killing half the population you're trying to save, and people would be stranded on planets if they were traveling through the galaxy. They'd be stranded on solar systems, like on the other side of the galaxy from where we are, from the solar system. So like our crew, like the crew crash land on a planet. How are they gonna get back? All they have is light speed. It's gonna take them like. How long did it take Voyager to get back to Earth? Like 9 years? Supposedly it was supposed to be like 9-year trip. It's like these people stranded, which didn't make sense at the end, which is also why I was kind of upset with the ending of it. But story wise, I can understand it. Would like them to, let the writer write his story out. This is his vision. I don't know if it's changed from the vision in the beginning, but nonetheless, it is what it is.
Did you play the fourth game? Like, did you finish it? Sorry.
Yeah, I played Andromeda and finished it. It was obviously set up to be a sequel, but it wasn't taken in because everybody wanted Shepard. They're like, "Where's Shepard?" Right? And like, well, he's not coming. It's 600 years in the future. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I tried to get into it. I bought it. I wanted to get into it. I turned it on. I played the first mission, and I think you're driving along on some sort of 6-wheeled thing on it.
Yeah, they brought it's like the Mako kind of sort of in the first one.
Yeah, and I just went, nah. I turned it off and never went back to it. Never did.
The connection to the original one, it wasn't there. It was just the beginning, right? It's just like Shepard giving you that like pep talk before you leave, type of deal.
Okay.
There is a 5th game coming, and that's supposed to take place in the Milky Way. So there's hopes that they could probably do something. Yeah, Dune is a good movie. It's a good series, saga as well.
God damn this technology! This God Emperor Dune. The idea you were talking about there of people being stranded light years apart through space and scattered on various worlds is a big part of that particular Dune book and the Dune story overall. But that's a long story, and perhaps we might have to do another episode because that's gonna take some unraveling.
Space Sagas 2.
Sci-Fi Sagas 2,
I've
Electric
been-
Boogaloo.
I've been trying to watch the second Dune movie, the newest one that's come out, and I liked the first movie. I thought it was okay. The second one, I can't get into it.
I haven't watched either one yet. No, to be honest with you.
I think the closest one to the books is the TV series that came out around about 2000, 2001.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But for me, I know some people are purists are going to say, but it changes the ending. David Lynch's Dune is a film which it changed my life. Like I say, it's a bit of a long story, so maybe we should go into that another time. But I'll tell you why this film changed my life and how I got into it. The ending is slightly different from the book, but that's because the film, was made by a guy who is a visual storyteller and was telling the story through visual metaphors. So that's, like I say, that's a subject perhaps for another time. But if you want the closest to the books, I would suggest the TV series. But if you want something that's just going to blow your mind and put you into a whole nother galaxy, then check out David Lynch's film.
Okay, all right. I remember watching the Dune series when I was younger, and V. That was a great show. Children of Dune. Is that what you're on about?
Oh, yeah. So Children of Dune, they adapted the first book of Dune, which is just called Dune. I think that starred out Alec Newman and William Hurt. So there were some fairly big name actors in it. And then they did the second and third book. They adapted as one. So that was 3 episodes, I think. The first book was 3 episodes. They then took the second and third book and condensed them down into another 3 episodes, and that was called Children of Dune. It was actually both. It was the second and third book, but they named it after just Children of Dune. So you got 6 episodes there, and sadly they didn't come back and do the next part of the story. And a lot of people are saying, well, the next part of the story is God Emperor, the one I was holding up earlier. And it's quite a wordy story and not a great deal of action in it. And they kind of felt maybe they didn't want to go ahead with the story. That was the one with James McAvoy in it. But they said maybe they didn't want to go ahead with the story because it wasn't quite as visually interesting as the other stories would be. But I in my in the theatre of the mind, the cinema in my imagination, I could see ways of doing it that would make it engaging enough and action packed enough to keep the audience interested. But sadly, they didn't go ahead with it. So yeah, you've got the 3 episodes of Dune, 3 episodes of Children of Dune, and that covers the first 3 books of Dune.
Okay, well, Spoonkiller said he was going to try and join us for some show and tell. So Spoonkiller, if you're still watching, and if you're able to jump in, now's the time to do it if you can. Space Commander, I want to know how Dune changed your life. How long you want me to wait to hear that story?
Oh, it's well, I don't know. If you think about how I was talking about Battlestar Galactica earlier, imagine that length of time again, but talking about Dune. Have we got that much time now, or shall we come back in another episode?
I think we should do another episode.
I don't want the audience to start. Oh my God, here he goes again. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe, delete.
Well, I appreciated your passion. Okay, so Spoonkiller, we might have to get you on the next show. Really, he's got something to show you specifically, Gazz. I don't know what it is, but I'm looking forward to finding out what it is. Yes, they're going to hold back their surprise.
Woo!
I never did see the first 4.
My favorite station is Babylon 4, but again, that's another long tell. So the reasons for that, maybe we can go into another time.
Oh yeah, why would we have a podcast and not lean into our long stories. Yeah, no, you're right. We'll wait for another day.
We've already been here 3 hours.
I'm just sticking with you, mate. I'm just sticking with you.
I don't want the audience to just be scarred for life by my long stories.
Well, it is 2 a.m. here. I suppose I should be getting off. I'll take my Cold Slither Zartan with me, which is a fantastic toy, by the way.
I need to get that one.
Kind of. I reckon if that had a yellow hat on, we could probably get away with calling it Space Commander. Rockin' Spacey.
And that hat.
I don't think the hat will fit him though. Well, it was definitely a great chat today, fellas. I think we didn't really get into a lot of the. We're gonna have to do a part 2 because I didn't really get into any of the Space Sagas that I had planned to. But we'll do it again. It was nice of there. See, that works. It was nice of Adam to finally show up.
I know,
that guy, I tell you. Space, it's good to hang out again. I reckon. Too long.
STS on Saturday mornings for me is a success, I guess.
Well, I appreciated your passion too, Gazz. It's a different side of Gazz. So, do you want to do the same time next week, Gazz?
Yeah, next Saturday I'm free, so I don't have anything planned on Saturday. Today I'm going to a football match. So I thought I was gonna have to leave around 1, but I'm leaving around 2 now.
What about you, Spacey? Are you free? Same bat time, same bat channel?
I'll have to check the schedule. We've got a comet coming past the space station any moment now.
Oh yes.
There's a crinoid invasion on Mars. There's stuff we've got to take care of, but I will let you guys know for sure because it would be good to do it again. I'm trying to develop this kind of positive outlook. But so here I am, like being all cool, calm, and collected. Talk about the stuff that you love. Ignore the stuff you don't like. Talk about the stuff that you love. And then in comes Gaz going, "These mother effers! They ruined my show! Ah!"
They just ruined my show. They ruined my song, man. That's what I'm saying. And leave my Doctor Who song alone, please.
All right. So, failing that, then I know Hans has got a topic that he wants to do. So maybe next week we'll go back to the regular time for that, and we'll circle back around. We'll circle back around for Space Commanders Part 2, give him time to catch a breath, and then Spoonkiller can join us for whatever surprise he has for you, Gaz. If I had to hazard a guess, I don't want to spoil it because I don't know, but I have a guess.
You think it's Mega Force oriented?
No,
not
Mega
Force oriented.
If
all right,
Spoonkiller, if you want me to have a guess and I get it right, I'll be so bad. But Spoonkiller, if you're happy for me to have a guess,
let's leave it.
All right, and I'll let you know if it's what I was thinking after he shows it.
Okay, all right.
Because I just got a feeling I know what it is, and if I'm wrong, that's fine. But if I'm right, that's hilarious.
Oh, it should be Viper Beetle.
That's so good. All right,
I almost bought it. I almost bought it.
How much is it going for? Where do you get it from?
It was like $30, I think. It was on Amazon. I did see Knight Rider at my local Barnes and Noble for $25, but I didn't buy it.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need it. My friend's like, you should buy it. I'm like, I don't need it. Now I'm like, I should have bought it.
Yeah, that sounds like something. That sounds like something a wife would say.
Well, I didn't buy it because I bought a book instead.
Okay.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Ah, fair enough.
Yeah.
See, there you go. $25. You need it.
I know. I should have got it. You know, if I go back, it's going to be gone. It was on the clearance table. If it's meant to be, yeah, book. Hey, dude, Spoonkiller. It's Buckaroo. Buckaroo Banzai.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. Looks like you're already partway through it.
I just started it the other day. It's against the World Crime League, so it's the one they advertised after the end of the Buckaroo Banzai movie.
Okay, all right. All right, so we'll hit up Hans Chow and find out what topic he wants to bring up. But of course, shoot the shit. So we're going to go off on a tangent.
It better not be how terrible Farscape is. That bastard! I'll kill him.
That son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
I don't even. It's a good show.
It is a good show.
It's a good show.
Man,
I'll stand by it. I'll stand by
I
it.
feel embarrassed now that I like Farscape.
I'm not. Let's lean into it. Yeah, you can't.
True.
No, it's true.
True.
All right. Well, with that then, for old time's sake, let's play the old Space Commander outro. Let's find it. This is a good one. Which one is it? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Anyway, thanks everyone in the chat for hanging out with us. It's a late one, or early, depending on where you're from.
It's afternoon.
We'll do the same. Oh, not here.
It's role reversal. It's role reversal.
Yeah, 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. here. Alrighty, we'll see you next week with, I don't know, Hans Chow's topic and hopefully a secret surprise from Spoon Killer. So, yeah, hang in there. Alright, and with that, full force, yo Joe, and what do you know, goodbye.
We are assembled here today.
This wasn't the one I was thinking of, but let's play it anyway. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but let's play it anyway.
Oh no!
All right. This is. Well, I hate to go out on a sour note, but let's play this one anyway.
Go out like this.
Hey!
We are assembled here today to pay final respects to our honored dead. And we will not debate his profound wisdom at these proceedings. Of my friend, I can only say this. Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human. Others.
Space Commander. 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 Space Commander.
They say the brightest lights burn out the fastest. But if that were true, we would have lost Space Commander years ago. And I know Space Commander is looking down at us from his space station in the sky. Everyone here better off for have known him, having him in their life. What I wouldn't give for just one more incoming transmission from the Space Commander. Rest well, buddy. You deserve it.
Space Commander, we'll never forget you, buddy. Space Commander.
How do you say goodbye to a friend who is out of this world? How do you show how much your good friend actually means to you? I don't know if there's enough words in this world that can truly explain how much Space Commander means to all of us. Will always be remembered.
Space Commander was the best of us all. His smile, his laugh, his jokes that didn't land, but he landed in all our hearts. And he did it with full force.